Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society.
Well, back here at the ground, we're just waiting on the toss to take place. The teams doing their preliminary circuit still. They've been kicking footballs into the crowd. And just while they're doing that circuit, let's go to this recorded interview with Rob Asprey and Harold Martin.
Well, for those of you who are interested in statistics, the record says that Coburg haven't beaten Port Melbourne in a finals match since 1928. You aware of that?
Well, I was actually, Rob, but...
Statistics wouldn't worry you though, Harold, would they?
No, well, you know, the best side will win today, and our blokes are very determined, a lot more determined than last week, and they should be too, because we didn't play anywhere near to our ability last week, but Preston played pretty well.
I felt very sorry for Renato Serafini. In fact, I was glad I came into the rooms because I wasn't aware that he was carrying a pretty bad, painful knee, leg injury last week. How's his shaped up during the week?
Well, he's trained lightly, Rob. I think it's an old injury with him. It's not a real serious knee problem, but...
well, you've got to fire a full forward. That's the question today on the forward line.
Well, yeah, well, Hallis kicked 7 last week, and, Renato only kicked 1, unfortunately, and... but we didn't support him very well up there. We did, our whole forward line fell to shambles last week. I think your full forward needs the half forward line firing as well, and we're down in those areas too.
I guess you've had a pretty good think about last week's game during the week and Port Melbourne.
Well, I've forgotten about last week actually, because I think it's important that we go in a confident frame of mind, because we defeated Port Melbourne the last game of the year in a mini final to get this double chance. So there's no reason why we can't do it again. The biggest thing was, we played very poorly last week, so I had to get that out of the players' minds and think about positive things, beating Port Melbourne.
Right. The conditions out there today, they're going to be hot again. I guess that won't, well, it's even for both sides, isn't it, really?
Yeah, well, our players are fit enough. We didn't look too fit last week because we're always doing the chasing, and I think movement of the ball makes you look fast, and we didn't get the ball first, and we seemed to be chasing all the time and looked a bit ragged in the end. But, I'm pretty confident that we'll do well today.
Have you got any changes, Harold?
No, not at this stage, Rob. Well,
I love that poker face. Just take a look at it.
Well, I think as soon as the game starts, you might see one.
All right, Harold, I would like to say, I know you won't like me saying this may be the last time we speak to you for the year, but I do want to say what a great pleasure it is to see, and I know I speak for a lot of people, Preston and Coburg, to see you back in the VFA this year after being at Preston. You really are one of the personality players, or was a personality player, and certainly one of the great coaches of the VFA, and I'd like to say congratulations on making the grand final.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks,
Rob. Okay, well, that's the coach of the Coburg side, Harold Martin, all geared up for today's game.
Right, and the teams have taken up their positions after the toss. We saw Coburg win the toss, and they've elected to kick to the lake end. Now let's have a look at the selected sides on Thursday night. And it's Coburg, and Serafini is the change there, Rob.
Yes, we can announce it now, Phil. A little arrangement there with Harold Martin. We wouldn't announce it until now. Serafini is out.
And looking at Port Melbourne, let's read from the back line, as they will line up here now. The back line, as distinct from that selected on Thursday night, is Davies, Dermott and Tansis. Halfbacks Thompson, Robertson and Evans. Centre is Swan. Bradbury on the half-forward line, Doyle and Rodder. Anderson, Cook and Abaya, Hall and Wilkinson, and Kavanagh is the rover. There's the bounce of the ball, and Wilkinson gets the knockout from the ruck position, and look at Bradbury put it further downfield, but a pick up here for Coburg by Dalglish. He sends it out towards the wing position, and there's a mark being taken out there by Thompson, I think it is, by the look of it. He puts it up towards the half-forward line. They rise for it. Immediately, Port Melbourne are into attack. It comes up towards that forward zone. Playing on Cook is Eid. By the look of this, there's been another change in the Coburg side. And there's Cook and Eid into it. That's unusual for Freddie Cook, Rex.
Yes, it is, but Fred's shown he's not going to take any nonsense. And they'll have to get on top of this one.
Oh, look at them moving in down here, too. Almost every player is going down into that forward pocket of Port Melbourne. And when we look down there, we can see it was Eid who was on Cook and not Douglas, as selected in the original team. Now let's see what the umpire will do about this. Little Frank Pagona is down there in the middle of it, and also Roy Groom.
He's going to give the kick to Freddie Cook.
Yes, Cook is going back, and he's showing Eve that he's not going to put up with any nonsense. And it's most unusual to see Fred Cook get into a blue like that. He usually stands back and says, well, you young fellas have a go and I'll look on. But he's won the first duel of the day, and he's lining them up now. Let's see if he can make it a big one, kicking towards the Fitzroy Street end of the ground. Cook moves in, guides it well, but the umpire watches it, nearly went over the top of the post, and it's one behind.
Phil, I had the glasses on Roy Groom then.
They're still at it down here. Look at this.
He ran up to Fred Cook and gave Fred a big smile and a nod to say as if he wasn't to blame for that.
And here's another one here at centre-half forward. Wow, what a sensation to start the preliminary final here today, and they're right into it.
I think the umpires are going to have to do something here. You can see the emergency umpires, goal and both field coming too.
Well, the full forward and full back down at the other end for Coburg and Port Melbourne, that's the Lake end, and the rest of the players are up here at centre-half forward on the Port Melbourne end. Even the emergency umpires, as Rex said, ran right upfield. Goal umpires were up there, runners were out there. And let's see what will happen from here. There's always been a sensation over the years, Ray Shaw, in VFA football in the finals.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of nervous tension trying to get rid of it, Phil, but you know, I couldn't believe that free kick because I thought Fred Cook started the blue down there.
Right. Well, now, let's see what happens from here. We're waiting on the...
we're waiting on the football, aren't we?
To come back, yeah.
Well, it's interesting to note that the last time these sides played, it looked as if Port Melbourne was going to win. A fight developed, and Coburg, from then on in, went on with the game.
Yeah, that was after half-time.
Right.
This is right at the beginning of the game.
Well, maybe they think, well, they get in early.
Well, I think Ray will be sitting down there and saying to himself, well, let him go.
It's silly football, but, you know, being in my position with Preston, I believe, you know, I believe it's silly football if people get reported with a week away from the grand final, but I don't care who gets reported here today.
No, well, that's what I thought. OK, we're just waiting on the kick to be taken here by Gary Sheldon, the back pocket player for Coburg. Umpire, they can take the kick again. Play wasn't ready to resume. And Cook following Eade right upfield, and Eade making a lead on the half-back line, and Cook tried to get a hand to it. Eade got to it, couldn't hold it. It's tapped out towards Cook. Cook goes around players, goes for a long hand pass, gets it across here towards his teammate in Kavanagh, isn't it, or Davis? Kavanagh was in there. Comes to Kavanagh now. He passes out direct here to Abaya, but the umpire blowing the whistle, and he's elected to give a free kick to Dalgleish. So Dalgleish now comes in with a right foot kick up towards the half-back line. Milroy moves in, couldn't hold the mark, comes down the direction of Swan. He was held, and the umpire gives Swan the free kick. So Swan from the half-forward line in a very fiery opening to the game sends it up towards Cook. Down there with him is Eade. Neither player gets the advantage. It comes back towards Pitt. He couldn't break away. There's Burt moving away now. And Burt towards the wing on the outer side of the ground looking for Laidler. Laidler traps the ball well on that wing on the outer side. Comes through in the direction of Herbert. Herbert now gets it to Burt again. Burt up towards centre half forward. And in the race for the ball, it's Doyle who gains possession, or Thompson. Thompson out towards the half-back line. Evans gets it. He sends it around the wing looking for Wilkinson, but the mark has been taken by Herbert. Now Herbert of Coburg with his long kick up towards centre half forward, goes over the heads of the players, and here's the opportunity for Davies. He's brought down to the ground by Fitzgerald, and the umpire blowing the whistle has indicated the free kick will be taken here by Davies. In the back against Fitzgerald, goes to the half-back line, players moving across in that direction, race for the ball, Cleary bears in on it now, dribbles it off the ground, and puts it over the line and out. Bill Cleary, the crowd were against him last week, but he was an inspiring player, if you can say that for Coburg. Probably the only player who really put in all day. There it comes through the middle of the pack, and no one able to break away. The umpire says there was a push, and the free kick will be taken by Kavanagh. Kavanagh of Port Melbourne knocked as he kicked the ball. Bradbury coming downfield, getting in front of Pennington, will get the free kick. So Bradbury now from the centre wing position up towards the half-forward line. It's pushed down away from Doyle. Comes through here towards Rodder. Rodder screws it around looking for a Bayer. Down they go, and the free kick will be taken on this occasion by Sheldon of the Coburg side. Well, the scores so far, Port Melbourne 1 behind. Coburg have yet to score. And there's a hand pass. Goes over to Milroy. Milroy taps it down here to Pitt. Pitt up towards Burt. Burt can't break away. Was grabbed by Thompson when not in possession. But the umpire called play on. Comes through here in the direction of Halsall. Halsall across to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald with a long kick downfield. But it's hit the post by the look of it. And 1 behind is the result. So both teams on 1 behind. Now waiting on Dermott, who's playing at full-back for Port Melbourne, to take the kick-off from the lake end of the ground. He's looking for Hall, and Hall, making position in front of Milroy, has pulled in the mark. So Hall from the right half-back flank plays it round the wing, and waiting for the ball there is Freeman of Coburg. The umpire has awarded it to him on the left half-forward flank. So Freeman with the long kick downfield. Dermott comes out. It's forced down to the ground. And eventually it'll be taken away here by Robertson. He goes for the long kick towards the centre of the ground, well wide of the centre. The mark has been taken by Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald across to Herbert at centre half forward. Starting to get a little bit of system into the play, Coburg. Players making leads, but no one able to get into position at this stage. They're forced to go back. Hall going down into the goal square for Port Melbourne in defence. And it's not a bad kick, a bit too high for those back men, but it's gotten through for full points. Coburg 1-1, Port Melbourne 1 behind. Well, let's have comments from Ray Shaw. Ray, a fiery opening to the game. Coburg look as though they might be settling a little quicker.
Yes, that was very good play then by the Coburg boys, and Robert Herbert is a very dangerous half-forward flanker, and they've put a bit of system into their play, Coburg, and while Port Melbourne are going around the flank. So I think Port are better off going down the centre of the ground.
All right, well, let's see what happens here. On the bounce from umpire Groom, Milroy moving in, taps it back over his head, but no one able to break away, and it will be another ball up, I'd say. No, the umpire's given the free kick to the player underneath, and it's Hall, the ruckman. Not a big ruckman for the Port Melbourne side. Goes for the pass to Bradbury, and Bradbury accepts the pass well, wide of centre half forward. He's within scoring range, kicking towards the Fitzroy Street end. There's Cook waiting under the ball, battling away with Eade. Eade in front, Cook juggling, but fails to take the mark. Comes out to a Bayer under pressure, forced to snap for goal, but puts it through for another behind. So Port are on to 2 behinds, and Coburg have 1-1 on the board. Coming up to the 9-minute mark in the first quarter, here's Rex Hunt.
He'd lined up at full-back on Cook and comes to the members' side of the ground, and he's looking down there for his team player, and that's Herbert, and Herbert accepts the pass. Here comes another hand pass across in the direction of John Fitzgerald, and he goes wide looking for Laurie Burt on the outer wing over there, but coming in nicely for the Port Melbourne side is Mick Thompson. Mick Thompson putting plenty of pressure on Laurie Burt there. There's a trip there, and the umpire Groom was right on the ball there, and coming out with a free kick, it looked like Tantis, is it? I think it is over there, yes. Angie Tantis goes in towards centre half forward looking for Graham Anderson, but the ball's punched away nicely by Pitt. It goes in the direction of Phil Cleary, and there's the crowd reaction there as he goes in towards the forward line. Oh, great mark by the Coburg player there, and it looks from here to be a little bit like Laidler, is it? When he turns around, it could be Harbinson. He's a blonde fella, but as soon as he turns around, it's Merv Harbinson, the Coburg forward player, and he's forward of centre half forward and shouldn't have much trouble in converting from here. He went into it a little bit, but I don't think enough to put him offline. And there's another goal to Coburg. Well, 2 goals, 1-7 Coburg. 2 goals, 1-13 Coburg. That scoreboard a little bit slow there. To Port Melbourne, 2 behinds, 2 points.
In the earlier game here today, Preston 15-17 defeated Paran 14-14.
Once again, umpire Vagona has the ball in perfect conditions, and 10 minutes, ticking on to 11 minutes have gone into this first quarter. Once again, Milroy versus Hall. Milroy got it down, and it went down in the direction there of Fitzgerald, but Halsall comes through on his left boot, and here's the break. Cleary tells his team player there in Pennington to run on, but it's picked up nicely by Freeman. Freeman goes for broke from a long way out, but down there, Dermott takes a great mark behind Dwyer, and Dermott can take the free kick. He'll take the mark, as a matter of fact, because he was a late exclusion from the side 2 weeks ago with a hip injury. He's recovered well to go to the half-back flank. And he'll be looking out there in direction of Thompson, but the ball goes over the boundary line and out of bounds. We're coming up to 11.5 minutes into the first quarter.
Right, well, we're just waiting on this throw-in. Port 2 behinds, Coburg 2-1. Goes wide of the pack. Burt is pushed over from the side, comes down towards the forward line. But the umpire blowing the whistle, he's gone down. I don't know whether he is indicating a free kick Coburg's way by the look of it. Coming up from underneath is Laidler. He was under the pack there, and Laidler's well within scoring range, only about 25 to 30 metres out from goal. On a very slight angle indeed. So Laidler has every opportunity of scoring and putting the third goal on the board for Coburg. So Laidler taking a lot of time about this one. There it goes on its way, and it's right through to take Coburg on to 3-1.
In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
25 possessions to 17 in Coburg's favour as Fitzgerald takes it from the centre. But in the meantime, the umpire's been blowing the whistle. He's awarded a free kick to Milroy. Rob.
We've now played 12.5 minutes into the first quarter, and what a great opening to the preliminary final here at the Junction Oval.
Well, as the statistics show, Coburg are working their way on top with the possessions. That's 26 possessions to 17 in Coburg's favour.
Now the chance for them to go forward again. The ball eludes the players and through for one behind. So that's another behind to Coburg, who certainly had a whirlwind opening to this match. Coburg, 3 goals to 20. Port Melbourne, 2 solitary behinds. That's Hall now accepting the mark. Hall on the right back flank position. Looks for Evans. Evans accepts the pass. Taking his time, long handball to Wilkinson. Wilkinson will go for a long handball to Doyle. Doyle must handball, does so to Kavanagh, and Kavanagh will line up the goals. In towards Fred Cook there at full forward, playing from behind, and a chance now for Anderson, who's got the ball, and a beautiful opportunist is Anderson, making the most of that shot, and a goal there first for Port Melbourne.
A car's suspension controls its performance, handling, and comfort. It's the same with shaving. That's why the Gillette Contour suspension system hugs every curve, smooths every stroke. Gillette Contour pivoting head adjusts to the perfect angle. It shaves fast, cleans easily. Change up to Gillette Contour. High performance shaving.
So the margin is only 12 points at the 14-minute mark. That's just 2 straight kicks. It was Coburg who won the toss and kicked to the lake end. Only a slight breeze advantage to the Fitzroy Street end. It may freshen later on, and that's probably what Larry Burt was thinking about. From the bounce, it's Hall who gets the ball forward to Wilkinson. Wilkinson is clear, lines up the big sticks in towards the goal. The umpire moves across and says full points for Melbourne. Not a very quick answer there by Port Melbourne with 2 goals in 2 minutes.
Ray Shaw, just a comment from you on the way Fred Cook is playing. Twice I've seen him come in from behind today.
Yeah, last week Eade played very well in front of Shane Heller, so I think it might be more Eade's efforts than Freddie's in trying to get in front.
Back in the centre of the ground, the 2 big men, Milroy and Hall, opposed there. Knocked down Bradbury and Burt. Burt it is, who has the ball held to him. And umpire Roy Groom will move in and bounce it. On the other side of the ground, just favouring the Coburg forward line. Perfect conditions here for football today, and congratulations again to the VFA, who have a fantastic finals atmosphere. That's the ball being grabbed there by Laidler, driven to the right forward flank position. 2 Port Melbourne players spoiling themselves out there. The umpire finding a kick, and it's going to go, or Thompson handing it back to his teammate there in Freeman. Freeman now driving the ball to the left forward position. Now taking the ball is Cleary. Gets his kick in.
The right forward flank position, being dragged to the ground there was Harbinson. And the kick will be taken by Tansis. Anzi Tansis in the left back flank position. Ball brought down to the ground. Bayer picks it up, drives it in towards centre half forward. Players sitting themselves. Doyle in front. He can't take it. Anderson, his handball is smothered. Coming through is Douglas. Gets it across to his teammate in Sheldon, one of the smallest men on the ground. Well, not smallest, but certainly the lightest. To Bayer now across to Bradbury. Bradbury will have to get his kick in just in time, and it's Douglas who'll mark on the right back flank position. He'll drive the ball across towards the centre of the ground. They should go straight down the centre now, and that's Pennington. Oh, Burt now has the opportunity to come in. He'll shepherd for Cleary. Cleary will have to go. Just gets his handball in time. Taking the ball is Freeman. Around two players, does so beautifully. And now he'll drive the ball into the scoring zone for Coburg. Can they score from here? Sets it up. It's right into the teeth of goal. Up goes the full-back. I think it's a goal. A goal for Coburg. Goal for goal in the game at the Junction Oval.
Chicken Plus is on now at Kentucky Fried Chicken. In a size to fit you. Get 10 pieces of Kentucky Fried Chicken plus salad plus potato and gravy for only $7.65. Or get 3 pieces plus salad plus potato and gravy, only $2.65. Chicken Plus in your size at Kentucky Fried Chicken now. 10 pieces plus salad plus potato and gravy, $7.65. 3 pieces plus salad plus potato and gravy, $2.65.
Well, on the bounce of the ball, it comes out wide, goes through the pack of players, and the umpire blowing the whistle, but eventually ends up with the Robertson. Robertson now towards the half-forward line, and Kavanagh of Port Melbourne takes the mark. He's not wasting any time. Cook leading out. He's kicked it over his head. Will the players catch it? It's picked up by Anderson. He's just got it through. That's his second. It would have bowled through if he hadn't have grabbed it, but he made a certainty of it. So, Coburg, a 4-2-26, and Port Melbourne a 3-2. Have a look at this, and Anderson just getting to the ball. There it goes on its way. Anderson just coming in and dribbling it over the line from about 2 feet out. Sounds as though we're being bombed. They're the Tiger Moths going overhead at the moment. But anyway, it's taken from the centre now. Up towards Coburg's half-forward line. Cleary came into it. Couldn't get rid of the ball. Could be a free here. Herbert was grabbed, and he'll get the free. He's immediately off. They're moving pretty quickly, both sides, as it goes out towards the right forward pocket. And the opportunity now for Dermott to get it away. Dermott to the half-back line. Billy Swan moving across from the centre has taken possession, and he immediately gets the short pass to Hall on the wing on the outer side of the ground. The bounce beats Hall. It comes back to Swan. Swan plays it back to Hall. Hall with a further hand pass to Swan again. And the umpire's given the free. The umpire out there was Frank Pagona, and Swan it is to get the free. Northcote have yet to score, and Caulfield are 3 goals straight. 10 minutes into the game over there in the grand final, second division. Oh, have a look at that one. Doyle was the player to rise high to pull in the mark. Wide of centre half forward. Cook in front again as it goes off his hands, and backing up is Douglas. No, it's Pennington. Pennington in turn to Pitt. Pitt now with a hand pass, gets it to the wing on the stand side. Harbinson comes in. He's being tackled by Wilkinson. He passes it cleverly back over his head to Burt. And Burt now of Coburg up towards that half-forward line. Umpire blowing the whistle, says the player was held down there. And it's against Fitzgerald to be taken by Tansis, it is, of Port Melbourne. So Tansis with his kick out towards Evans. Evans moving into it well in front with Cleary. Gets the hand pass in, and this is Dermott coming right upfield. Bowled over after he's kicked the ball, but this allows little Abaya to move in on it. And Abaya, look at those legs go as he moves around now. Right foots it towards goal, and I think he's put it through. Abaya, a goal.
Ansett Pioneers Aussie Pass is your ticket for Go As You Please coach travel. 15, 30 or 60 days. Special discounts on accommodation. Free sightseeing in most capital cities. Aussie Pass, come on! Ansett Pioneers Aussie Pass. Ride the great country.
At the 20-minute mark, scores are even. Both sides on 4-2, Rex Hunt.
Hall versus Milroy again as umpire Groom puts it down. It went down to Burt, but Swan's in there. And Swan's interfered with, says umpire Vagona. And it's going to be Billy Swan. He's going to run around and look in here for Wilkinson with a beautiful pass. Spears it in nicely, and Wilkinson doesn't waste any time looking back. Cook, and there's the strength of a top pull forward. He used his body perfectly then in front of Eade. And Freddie Cook, the VFA leading goal kicker for many years, is going to line up for his first goal 21 minutes into this first quarter. Let's give him no more than 12 metres out as Fred, in that characteristic crouching style, will make sure that he puts the ball perfectly on the boot. And he's going very close to that man on the mark. I don't like it. I didn't like it from the start. There was no doubt that he was going to miss that, Ray Shaw. He just didn't look right from the start, did he?
No, terrible. You caught it right on, Rex, because he went too close to the man on the mark.
Yes, for the young people listening there, you've got to get back on the mark and line it up, because there's no doubt about the distance as the ball goes to the half-back flank and it's punched away from Milroy. There's Pitt in there trying to get to the ball, but Kavanagh's on top and he's interfered with. And Kavanagh's given the kick by umpire Groom, and there's Anderson, the danger player. 2 goals already to his credit, and I wouldn't think from there that he could score. Freddie Cook in the goal square, calling for the ball frantically. Now here comes a lead from Cook, but Anderson leaves it alone as he goes in towards the goal square. Doyle from behind interferes, and the umpire was right on the spot and gives it to Douglas. Good umpiring there and showing the advantage of 2 umpires as Douglas comes out here looking for Pennington. Pennington takes the mark and has nowhere to run and looks for Cleary, but Wilkinson's going to come in, and he's met heavily by Cleary, but the ball comes down to Bradby. Bradby looking for Kavanagh, his poor player, and puts him under the hammer, and Wilkinson is really shook up as the kick has come out to Brendan Kavanagh. Brendan Kavanagh at the true centre half forward position goes in looking for Cook. This time he's got in front of Eade once again, and I wouldn't think he'd miss this one. He's changed his game and got in front of Eade, or as Ray Shaw says, Eade was probably doing all the damage by getting in front of Cook, but this time Cook is coming right back, and I wouldn't think he'd do the same thing again. Concentration plus this time as he puts it through this time for his first and Coburg's 5th goal.
In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
Port Melbourne's 5th goal in, 5 goals to 32 to Coburg, 4-2, 26. And Wilkinson in the centre of the ground there, as you can see, holding his shoulder. It really hurt that clash with Cleary. Once again, Hall gets the knockout, but coming through nicely to Coburg is Herbert. Herbert can go long looking for Laurie Burt, but the ball comes down to Dwyer, and Dwyer picks it up, and there's the answer to Coburg, and Coburg's 5th goals on the ball. Very good play by the Coburg side, sees them level the scores, and Ray, it's anybody's game at this stage because the team seem pretty close together.
Yes, well, I do believe, you know, whichever side can get the ball out of the centre, and especially in VFA football, and it proved the point then when Herbert come through the centre, and Big Dwyer down there, he's a very tall man, probably about 6'7", but very agile on the ground also, and he kicked that beautiful goal just then.
Right, Ray. Frank Bagona coming in for the bounce. Both sides on 5 goals, 2, coming up to the 24.5-minute mark. Neither ruckman get the knockout. Racing in after it is Swan. He's pushed to the ground. The umpire allows the play to continue. A pick-up by Fitzgerald, who shoots it down towards the half-forward line. Davies scouting around the pack, waiting for the crumbs. Couldn't get there. And Kansas got it out towards Evans. Evans now will go for the kick around the wing on the other side of the ground. Fitzgerald moved in, and also Swan. Neither one got the advantage. The umpire blew the whistle and then called play on. He was giving the free to Swan, but it goes up towards the half-forward line. Here's a free kick, and the free kick will be taken this time by Bayer. It is against Sheldon of the Coburg. Now Bayer from the half-forward line, straight across towards centre-forward. The umpire says there was a shove. It'll be Douglas getting the free against Doyle. The umpire up talking with Doyle. He must have said a word to him. And Fred Cook telling Doyle to settle down. So Douglas now from a bit short of the last line of defence, will drop it right in the centre of the ground. Players wait under the ball. Down goes Evans in trying to mark it. And here's the opportunity now for Robertson to get in front and gain possession. Robertson racing away from opponents, goes for the short pass, a bit high for Bradbury, but coming through here is Rodder. Rodder lines him up, it's offline. And it'll be out on the full. He'll probably get another kick. He was bowled over after kicking the ball. Umpire Roy Groom comes back. And it'll probably go to Fred Cook further afield, down in that left forward pocket. He'll be on a very acute angle. The umpire will bring him right around on the boundary line because it went out on the full, but he was bowled over after he'd kicked the ball. Well, gee, Cookie is fired up, Rex.
Yes, he is, and I don't know whether you'll have a shot or not here, but I think it's on down here too, just in front of the goal square.
This is Anderson and Pitt. Looks as though they're about to go out for the night. Cook has taken his shot. He's put it right across the face of goals. He's kicked it out on the full. And Rodder's in there in another little fracas. But umpires are right on the ball here, and we'll wait now for the kick to be taken from that last line of defence. Well, it wouldn't take much for Tempest to go properly here as it's hand passed out to Pennington. Pennington looking for Eade. Eade right out on the half-back line, leading in the race for the ball from Cook. Herbert tried Cook on, but Cook was too strong for him, and it's Sheldon now going down wide of the centre. Left foots it up towards centre forward. They wait for it down there, touched as it went through this time by Greg Dermott. So it means that Coburg have hit the front. They move on to 5 goals, 33, and Port Melbourne 5-2, a total of 32. Rob Asprey.
And we've played 2.5 minutes of time on, and some great football, exciting football here at the Junction Oval. Herbert, but the umpire has found a kick. Let's go back and see what's going on there. Frank Verdona having a chat to Cleary and also to Thompson. Now he's running across, and I'm not too sure what's. I think he's going to bounce it, is he? Well, I'm having trouble working that one out. And so is Frankie Vergona.
He'll bounce it by the look of it.
Well, there's the bounce. And just checking the score on the second division grand final, Northcote 4 behinds, Caulfield leading 4 goals, 125, and they've played 20 minutes in that game at Toorak Park. Now back to the action here at the Junction Oval, across towards the centre of the ground. Bradbury, Pennington on the mark. Bradbury will go to the left forward flank position, and it's Wilkinson who'll accept the mark. And another crunch out there. No beg your pardons in this game today.
Free kicks are very interesting. Port Melbourne a total of 18 free kicks in this quarter. Coburg have only managed 9.
And the margin is only 1 point in favour of Coburg, and a great first quarter. Now going forward again, it's Swan for Port Melbourne, down towards the full forward position. The big men are there, up they go. Doyle has the ball knocked away from him, recovers beautifully, but is dragged to the ground very high. In fact, I thought it may have been close to being a free kick. Now across, and it's Coburg defending grandly. There's the kick. Men setting themselves on the VFA sign. Davies always taking the mark there. Play on, says the umpire. Frank Pagano moving in.
And the umpires are coming from everywhere again, and the free kick will be taken by Davies here. Davies wide of the centre of the ground, favouring the stand wing position. By gee, it doesn't take much for the Tempest to go in this game at the moment as Davies puts it on its way towards centre forward. He gets in front of Cook. Cook was trying to back his judgment then, but taken away by Milroy. Milroy gets his kick into the centre, and coming through is Herbert. Also Cleary grabs possession. He gets it across to Herbert. Herbert racing wide of the centre of the ground. Gets the hand pass in, looking for Laurie Burt out there. Burt with a hand pass across here towards Laidler. Laidler can't break away with the ball at all. He left foots it now, though, towards goal, and I think he's put it through. Yes, it's a goal to Coburg. They go on to 6 goals, 3, and Port Melbourne are 5 goals, 2. Well, let's have a look at all that again as it comes down from the centre of the ground. And you'll see Laidler here recover again. This is looking from behind the goals, and then left foots it and makes no mistake about it. Straight through to put Coburg in the lead. They move on to 6 goals, 3, 39, with Port Melbourne 5-2, 32. Well, it's an explosive type game as Milroy gets it to Cleary. Cleary gets the kick in up towards the half-forward line. Robertson gets one hand to it. And there's Bradbury also in there, but a pick-up by Swan of Port Melbourne. Gary Bryce is now on the field, the captain and coach of the Port Melbourne side. And Evans is the player who's gone off. Well, Bryce put himself on the interchange, and he's come out now to direct traffic a bit. As it's knocked down by Hall. In there is Cleary. Cleary can't break away. Comes out to be taken away by Dalgleish. Dalgleish's kick up towards the centre half forward. Bradbury came in, but Laurie Burt gains possession. Comes across in the direction of Halsall. Halsall now going for the, well, he's going for the ball, but couldn't gain possession. Freeman out of Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald with a long kick downfield. I think it's offline. And one behind is the result. So Coburg go to 6-4-40 with Port Melbourne 5-2-32. A different team this week, Coburg, Rex.
Yes, they're a different team the second half of this quarter too, because Milroy's well on top of Hall at the moment. It's all starting in the centre of the ground, and when it goes to the back line, they're running it out nicely as the ball comes out by Dermott, and he'll be looking down there for Hall, but it's coming in towards the Coburg player in Merv Harbison. He's tackled, and umpire Groom will award him the free kick. 32 minutes into this first quarter, 5-2-32 Port Melbourne, trailing Coburg 6-4-40 as Harbison sees a lead coming in there. Looks like Laidler, and Mick Laidler's taken the mark at centre half forward. In front of Mick Thompson on that occasion, and he's pulling his socks up, so he's obviously going to try and put it in from here. He has 2 straight goals on the board, Mick Laidler, and he's going to favour the drop punt kick and kick it well, and if it doesn't go offline, it's straight through the centre. But oh, that's a class goal, and Mick Laidler's 3rd goals on the board. And Coburg 7 goals, 4 that is to Coburg, and they're 46 points to Port Melbourne 5-2-32, and you'll see this glorious kick coming up here on the action replay.
Right, and there it is. And Ray Shaw, what difference do you see in the Coburg side this week?
Oh, nothing really at this stage. They started to look pretty well last week also. Mick Laidler started looking a couple of goals last week, but he's causing a few problems up in that half-forward line.
They just seem to have a bit more fire about them this week, though.
Oh, I think, you know, it's one of those positions where it's win or lose tonight. You know, you're out of it otherwise, but you know, both sides are playing very good football at this stage.
Once again, the good play by Milroy sees the ball go from Burt into Milroy's hands, and coming through was Sheldon, and Sheldon for the Coburg side takes the free kick, awarded by umpire Groom in the true centre position. A left-footed defender for the Lions puts a magnificent spiral punt into the air. Down there looking for Fitzgerald, but the ball is there now in favour of Dwyer. Dwyer goes for the old famous fresh air shot and misses, and over the boundary line and out of bounds. And what a long quarter we have here, probably all the time on because of the infringements and the coming up to 34 minutes. Is it 33 minutes by the look of it?
33, old fella.
Thank you very much, Dad. As the ball comes out of Milroy's hands there, and there's going to be another ball up, and it's little Frank Bergona putting his way through the crowd there, and he's going to put it up.
All right, we're just waiting now on the ball to be bounced. Deep on the forward line for Coburg. Dwyer was the player to get his hand to it. Bergona's in there, watching it closely as he has elected now to blow the whistle for the ball up. Just waiting for this bounce again. A little bit quiet, the quietest period we've had in the game so far, and in the box as well. And he's picked out a free kick here. It was Kavanagh who raced away with the ball, but it's being returned, and it'll be Tansis. Angie Tansis to take the free. He's got the lead right at centre half-back. Robertson comes in to accept the pass for Port Melbourne. Robertson now wide of the centre. Rodder waiting for it. Punched away from him. Down here towards Bradley. And he's grabbed beautifully by Burt. And the free kick will be taken by Burt. Well, Burt a little livelier too today. But as you often say, you can only play as well as your opponent's ledger. And it goes up towards Dwyer. Pick up by Cleary. He's offloaded as he put the boot to the ball. And it's gone over the line in the left forward pocket. So Port Melbourne trailing. They're 5-2-32. Coburg 7-4, a total of 46. And Ruckman go up. Dwyer was the player who directed the knockout. Pick up by Dermott. Dermott looking out there for Swan. Won't get to it before it goes to the line. What a lively first quarter, and there's a long way to go in the match yet. The liveliest of the final series so far. And it was Hall who gained possession on the throw-in. Wilkinson was the player pursuing the ball, but it goes straight into the hands of Sheldon. Sheldon of Coburg towards centre forward. Look at them fly down here. Dermott went up. not a bad player, this Dermot on the back line, as he dodged around players and cleverly gets away to put it to Swan on the half-back line. He gets it across to Kavanagh. Kavanagh now from the wing up towards the half-forward line as Doyle moving in. The bounce is eluding Doyle. He's pursued by Douglas, but he kicks it high in the air as the siren goes, and Cook will take the mark, but a bit too late. He was about to try and con the umpire then too, I think. Anyway, quarter-time scores. Coburg 7-4, 46, and Port Melbourne 5-2, 32.
Look who's back tonight on 10, taking their work just as seriously as ever. A little kiss here, a little bomb there, and loads of laughter everywhere. Whether they're whining or dining, they do it in style. MASH, the war wouldn't be the same without them. 7:30 tonight on 10.
Hey, I've done it! I've invented the toggler. It's perfect for hanging or securing paintings, curtain rods, shelves, hanging baskets, goldfish, anything at all. In plaster and brick walls and ceilings, it's simple. Just fold it, push it, and pop it. My revolutionary new anchor design means that the toggler won't slip or twist. You can get togglers from all good hardware stores where you see this display. The toggler! Whoops, it won't let you down.
Once upon a time, Nige wanted a TV, Annie a hi-fi, Bev a video recorder, and Jen an electronic game.
Who's the best to go to?
They asked. Bert said, Canberra TV, of course. They have a top range, great prices, video library, and back it all up with free delivery, installation and after-sale service. Shortly after, Nige, Bev, Annie and Jen left Canberra TV happy because they got what they wanted. Now the moral is, if you want anything from video to hi-fi, pop into Canberra TV. You'll be entertained happily ever.
Right now at Simon's, we're stocked up on one shade.
So you can save on any colour, as long as it is beige.
Plush balls, Berbers, cut and loops, this colour's all the rage.
And you can save on any colour, as long as it is beige.
Save $10 a metre on 100% wool Berber, only $58. Save $10 on cut and loop, just $38. 10, 15, up to 30% off every beige carpet at Simon's 43 stores.
As long as it is beige, boy.
But hurry!
This is Trish Carter.
Hi.
Hi. She lost 22 kilos in 24 weeks with Weight Watchers.
That was me. I tried all the diets, even starving, and nothing worked for long, till Weight Watchers. It really works. I've lost weight and kept it off for more than 5 years. Look at the great food you can eat. Peanut butter, honey, even beer and wine. Weight Watchers, you're a success.
Join Weight Watchers now for $2. Save 10. Come on, phone Weight Watchers now.
The VFA Festival of Finals Football, proudly brought to you by Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society.
Well, in a great match so far, Coburg 7-4, 46 are leading Port Melbourne 5-2, a total of 32. Let's hear comments from the captain and coach of Preston, who'll be participating in the grand final next Sunday, Ray Shaw.
Yes, Phil. Well, after a very hectic first quarter, I think Coburg will decide to settle down more than Port Melbourne. They played very direct football, and they've got a big fellow in Dwyer down in the goal square who's the other players are feeding off. And it was the Coburg side that I believe did get on top of Port Melbourne across the centre where Milroy, I think he's just a bit too tall and a bit too experienced for young Peter Hall. And if Port Melbourne can't get on top of Milroy in the ruck, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. But the classy players of the Coburg side, the Burt, the Herberts and the Fitzgerald, they're the ones who are setting the ball forward all day. Swan's doing barely in the centre, but I believe the Port Melbourne players just aren't chasing enough from the forward line. It's making it easy for the Coburg players coming down the ground. But I think everything's looking forward to a great game here.
Ray, I know it's very early in the game, but do you still fancy Port Melbourne to win it?
I think Coburg's desire is probably, I have to go against Port Melbourne in that way, because I believe Coburg's desire is a lot better than Port's, and Coburg have got a lot to prove, and so have Port Melbourne got a lot to prove. But Coburg seem to be going in a lot harder for the ball at this stage, and they're probably favourites at this time to take the game out.
Right, Rex Hunt, what do you think?
Well, Phil, I'm not so sure that it's because of the breeze that Coburg are in front. And at this stage, their lead of 14 points doesn't seem really substantial, with Port Melbourne kicking with the aid of a breeze. But Coburg played particularly well, particularly in the latter part of that first quarter. Milroy on top of Hall, and really everything started with Fitzgerald and Burt out of the centre, and as Ray said, they have a spearhead in Dwyer. But Fred Cook, he's the man that the Port Melbourne side will be looking for, and also Doyle. If Doyle can stop fighting and start playing football, I would expect Port Melbourne to gain the upper hand in this particular quarter.
Well, there is quite a breeze blowing down the ground, Rex. I'm just looking at the paper out there, going from the Fitzroy Street end to the lake end of the ground. But at the moment, it's Coburg looking very, very good here at the Junction Oval. And Ray Shaw and Rex have summed it up pretty well in that Coburg have been first to settle down. Port Melbourne will have to do quite a bit more in this quarter. They have the advantage of this breeze. All right, Ian, what are the statistics on the game?
Port Melbourne kick getters, Tansas with 5 kicks, Swan dominating with 8, Kavanagh 7, Bradbury 4, and Dermott's playing well across the half-back line. For Coburg, their kick getters include Fitzgerald with 5 kicks, Burt playing well with 7, Herbert 4, Douglas 4, and Laidler 4. Goal kickers for Port Melbourne, 2 to Anderson, 1 each for Wilkinson, Ibea and Cook, and for Coburg, 3 to Laidler and 1 each to Herbert, Harbinson, Freeman and Dwyer. Having a look at the team statistics, it would appear that Port Melbourne are on top, but that's not the case. If you have a look at the possessions, for example, Port Melbourne 71 possessions to Coburg 66, kicks, Port Melbourne 60 to 47, Port Melbourne stronger in the air statistically with 19 marks, Coburg 10. Free kicks are interesting. It would appear that the umpires are favouring Port Melbourne with 20 free kicks, Coburg 12, and for handballs, 19 to Coburg, 11 to Port Melbourne.
Righto, teams have broken up now, and in this quarter we'll have Port Melbourne kicking to the left of the screen and Coburg towards the right of the screen. Now, I was just thinking, Ray Shaw, the Premiership side this year, the 18 players in the team will receive an Aussie pass to travel anywhere in Australia. And it's a great prize, that one.
Yes, and I hope we get it too.
Well, you're red-hot favourites at the moment.
I think finals are won by the best side of the day, and I couldn't agree more with what Harold said to Rob before the game. You know, finals are a funny game. They're not like at home and away. There's a lot of pressure on players and nervous tension and that. But the best side on the day wins finals, and whoever we do play, well, if we're not the best side, we're going to, give the other side one hell of a game.
Well, just thinking back on last week, it's hard to find any of your weaknesses there. You're particularly strong in getting that ball away from the centre, particularly from your ruck division.
I didn't think I thought Jeff Austin probably played his worst game last week, so we can improve a lot there too.
Well, that doesn't say much for the other sides, whichever side it may be today coming into the final. Anyway, let's see what happens now as we have Port Melbourne starting to attack. It's Swan, who's dodged out of the pack cleverly there to right-footed up towards centre forward, and it'll go through for one behind. Only 14 seconds after the commencement of the second quarter, so that takes Port Melbourne on to 5 goals 3, 33, to Coburg 7-4, 46. Well, the kick-off from Mead comes out towards the half-back line. Wilkinson is the player to gain possession. Wilkinson to Hall. Hall now from the half-forward line. Went for the short pass, but he dropped it a little bit short there. And the opportunity this time for Kavanagh to come through for Port Melbourne. He shoots it towards Bryce, who was a bit too far under the ball. There's Douglas going after it, but couldn't gain possession before it went over the line. Port Melbourne 5-3, trailing Coburg 7-4. Quieter start to the second quarter. Milroy directs the knockout, comes wide from Burt, and there's Pitt playing it up towards the wing on the stand side of the ground. A little bit of pushing and shoving going on. Herbert is trying to gain possession here. He'll get it over the line, however. Robertson closely in pursuit. Boundary umpire just getting to the ball now, so it tells you how quickly it came up the ground then. Robertson going up in the ruck. He's coming in from behind, gets the punch down towards Bradbury. Bradbury with the hand pass out to Davies, who ducked ahead as 2 Coburg players came in. Freeman gets it around the neck, but players allowed to continue. Robertson goes over the ball. Umpire Bergono went to blow the whistle, called play on. It comes out towards Bradbury. Bradbury left foots it up towards that half-forward line. Rodder waits for it, punched at the ball, missed it altogether, and it bounced over. So Coburg 7-4, 46, Port Melbourne 5-3, 33. And Port Melbourne probably just starting to feel a little worried. They're 2-1 down at the present time, when indications earlier were that they could have been right on top. Rodder now getting the ball, gets a push, and the umpire paid it as a trip. but it was a push in the back there that did it. It goes up towards the centre forward zone, being pushed around in the air. And no one able to get away with it, and umpire Groom will come in for the ball up. A little bit of frustration, not by the team, but by the lady in the crowd then. All right, on the bounce, Milroy went in for the knockout, comes through in the direction of Halsall, who went down to ground. Look at them go over here. A lot of negative type football going on at the moment. Crowded play. What would you do about this, Ray?
Oh, it's pretty hard to say because both sides don't want to make mistakes, and that's why it's probably so crowded.
Umpire Groom, Milroy getting the knockout. Comes through to Doyle. Now Doyle will open it up as he gets it out to Swan, who runs around opponents, then puts it across here towards Abaya, and Abaya has taken the mark between centre half forward and the left half forward flank. He's kicked 1-1 so far, the smallest player possibly in VFA football in First Division. Bayer comes in, he's put it right offline, and it won't get the distance either, and the mark will be taken down here by Eade. He passes out in the direction of Dalgleish. Dalgleish around the, he has the kick smothered, but it still comes up towards the centre of the ground. Cleary is in there, he can't break away with it, and eventually it's Kavanagh coming out, waiting for the bounce to come back, gets the kick on its way, and it's offline, through from behind. So that takes Port Melbourne on to 5-4 to make it exactly 2 goals of difference, with Coburg leading at 7-4. 4 minutes of play gone. The kick comes out in the direction of Pennington. Pennington juggles the ball but pulls in the mark. Pennington now with a hand pass across. And it's Sheldon who puts it into the hands of Harbinson. So Harbinson now tackled, holds the ball, and the free kick will go against him to Robertson. Robertson of Port Melbourne. Robertson now with a short pass to Hall. Hall stood his ground when he could see the Coburg player coming in, and then puts it down towards centre forward. Cook coming out, has the ball punched away, comes back towards Dalgleish. Dalgleish gets it well wide, and Pennington now is the player to dodge, plays it into the centre for Coburg, and falling into it was Davies, who came right up from the back line, but to pick up by Swan as the umpire called play on, and a mark taken by Wilkinson at centre half forward. Wilkinson within scoring range with the breeze behind him to the lake end. He's kicked 1 goal so far, this player, and he's put it right through the middle. No mistake about that. Port Melbourne are 1 goal down.
In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
Well, 1 goal the difference. Coburg 7-4, Port 6-4, as it comes now from the centre up towards Coburg's half-forward line. Harbinson coming through. He can line them up and dob this through if he's got the accuracy, and he's hit the post. So there we are. Coburg go to 7-5 and Port Melbourne 6-4. And at this stage, I've been asked by the umpires to send a special call from the President Murray Stab and all members of the VFA Umpires Association to one of the life members, namely Harry Williams. Harry's viewing today's game from home and not in the best of health. Harry, the umpires' thoughts are with you today, and they say they miss you and your camera. Okay, the ball up towards Anderson, and Rodder tried to get away with it, and the free kick has gone against Rodder for holding the ball. Coming up here is Herbert. Oh, that's solidly too after that pass from Eade. Look at him roll on the ground there. Put his head down and went straight into it. That's a very dangerous practice, Rex, players putting their head down.
Yes, they're foxing for the free kick, and at times they can come undone and lose the free kick and get very serious injury from that sort of practice.
And there's the kick from a groggy Herbert as it comes out to the wing, and the mark has been taken by Laidler. So Laidler of Coburg, no, the umpire blowing the whistle. And really, in a way, he's penalised the Coburg side, although he's blowing the whistle well before Laidler kicked it. He's calling Mick Thompson back on the mark, back 15 metres from going over the mark, rather. Well, that's a kick off the side of the boot now, and there's a Bayer going in after it, but it beats him over the line. With Coburg 7-5-47, Port Melbourne 6-4-40, Rex Hunt.
7.5 minutes into this vital second term, and Coburg needing a bit of a lift as Wire gets it down, and he'll be looking down there for Halsall. But coming through nicely for Port Melbourne is a Bayer, sees Wilkinson on his own, and oh, what a courageous mark. But Wilkinson, you don't want to fight at this stage, as Robertson says, give it to me. Robertson accepts the hand pass and gives it across to the brilliant Swan. Swan sees Davies over there on his own, but the bounce is not that kind. But we see Pennington come in, but he's tackled by Bryce. And Frank Bergona's given it against Pennington, and it's going to the captain coach, Gary Bryce. He's on to stir them up, Bryce, and he's going to do just that as he tells people to lead, and he goes with a long spiral punch down towards the forward position looking for Cook. Down there it comes across to Rodder. Rodder rings in, bang, through goes Port Melbourne, 7th goal, and Port Melbourne have answered.
Mitre 10, we're Australia's biggest hardware men.
When you decide to do it yourself around the house, you can be sure Mitre 10 will have everything you need, like doorknobs, taps, screen doors, insulation. Your Mitre 10 man is a do-it-yourself specialist, so before you start any job, ask his advice. He'll show you how to do the job properly. You'll save time and money.
Where do you go for hardware?
Right back in the centre, and umpire Groom puts the ball down, and Port Melbourne 7-4-46, trailing Coburg by 1 point, 7-5-47. The ball goes forward, and there's Wilkinson again. He's in the thick of things down there, and the free kicks going Port Melbourne's way at this stage. 23 free kicks to 12. We learned from our statistician Ian Gibbs, and right on the ball there is Wilkinson, playing particularly well at this stage.
They've been scragging him a lot, haven't they?
They certainly have. I think he's kicked 2 goals. So the stats show that Port Melbourne putting themselves in front, and Wilkinson puts it on. It looks all right from here, but it's offline. 1 behind, 1 point goes on the board and scores a level. 7 goals, 5-47 apiece, Port Melbourne and Coburg. And the game evenly poised at this stage. But Ray, I believe that Coburg are falling down on the half-forward line.
Yeah, I think that's their biggest problem, and it was last week. I know Harold was very disappointed on the half-forward line, and they are doing it this week also, because Mick Layla and Harbison just aren't big enough against Robertson and also Banbury.
There's the man in question again, Wilkinson, and he puts it on its way again, but it's offline. Port Melbourne hit the front with that behind. 7 goals, 6-48. The Coburg 7-5-47. So Port doing all the attacking, and there's a fight on at centre half back, and I can't see the player, but I reckon it might be Wilkinson. Let's see how good I am.
Pennington's with Wilkinson.
Well, Wilkinson was on his hands and knees and was still looking down on Frank, and he said, why don't you go and tell him off? And that's just what Frank Bergona's doing at the moment. And the ball's with Ian at full-back again, and he goes to the outer side of the ground. He'll be looking for Milroy, but he's kicked it too well. Rodder was in the front position. Billy Swan goes in and tackles the player there in Halsall, and he's tapped it out there looking for Rodder. Rodder's got the break on Milroy, and here's Anderson. Back to Rodder is great play. He lines it up, but it's offline. The goal umpire says, give it to me. And Port Melbourne's 7th behind is on the board. 7-7-49, Port Melbourne at Coburg, 7-5-47. Coming up to 11 minutes into the second quarter, Rob Asprey.
Yes, a great game here at the Junction Oval. They are directing play now, Coburg, to the outer side of the ground. Up goes Hall, and he's taken the mark. Hall on the right forward flank position. Too far out to score from here, but he'll certainly put it right down into the teeth of goal. There's the kick. Freddie Cook is playing from behind. The umpire has found a kick, said you infringed against your opponent, and now it's Fitzgerald who's going to get the ball away. Coming to the grandstand side of the ground, Harbison leading out, can't take the mark. Robertson carries the ball over the line and out of bounds. Second Division Grand Final, 10 minutes into the second quarter. Northcote 1 goal, 7-13. Caulfield doing pretty well, 5-6-36. And we'll keep you informed tonight on Eyewitness News as regards the action in the match at Toorak Park, and also the best action highlights here at the Junction Oval. That's Greg Dermott knocking it along on the ground. Players going in very hard. Still in play. Robert Herbert comes in, and he wasn't in possession, says the umpire, and you'll get the free kick. Robert Herbert, 111 games, age 25, and one of the star players of the VFA. Had a devastating year. Member of the 1979 Premiership side. Into the right forward pocket position. Over the line and out of bounds, only about 25 metres around from the scoring zone for the Coburg side.
The margin is only 2 points in favour of Port Melbourne. A great game in our hands. Hall takes the ball down to his knees. It's Burt who sharks the ball. The chance for Helser to come through. Knocked away from him. Players overrunning the ball at the moment. At centre half forward, it's Robertson coming out with the ball. He gets rid of it pretty quick, like a hot potato. Oh, look at them throw themselves on the ground, and the ball is Burt down on the ground again. Desperate football here at the Junction Oval. And Frank Pagona will call for it and bounce it. Oh, it's on again. Well, the pitcher telling the story here. Players' tempers flaring, and it has done right from the very first bounce. In the first minute of play, we had players going in, and no beg your pardons. Now 13 minutes have elapsed in the second quarter, and don't forget, at half-time we have the statewide sprint. Statewide, great supporters of VFA football, and great people too. Now the bounce. The centre half forward position. Look at the struggle there between the big men. Herbert grabs the ball, immediately caught, brought to the ground. Play on, says umpire Vagona, but he's found a free kick too high. And the crowd, listen to the crowd roar. They don't agree with this one, and Hall will come out with the ball.
The umpires have a problem here in allowing these packs to develop the way they are.
Yeah, here comes another
There's
fight
another
too.
one. Look at this. Now, this is not from a pack, and by gee, they're into it here. Herbert, he'll have to be sent off. Let's see whether, yes. The umpire has taken the number of Mick Thompson, and he'll be sent off. And Herbert has his number taken too. He was turned around by the umpire.
I think he might have been the player reported, Phil.
Well, they're both off. No, Herbert's staying on, and Thompson is the player to come off. So it means now that Port Melbourne will be playing 15 men aside. Here's the replay of it all. Look at them go in here. Oh, that's shades of Festival Hall, Los Angeles, you name it. They're right into it. And the one we're watching, of course. Well, they meant business there. Anyway, let's get back onto the play now. There's a ball, new ball coming onto the ground, and it's moved to the other side of the ground, the play. And that's on the outer side of the ground. 7-7 Port Melbourne, Coburg 7-5. Well, how often have you seen a team lift when a player has been reported? Mick Thompson there. He's off for the statutory 15 minutes. So he's... let's see when he'll be back. He'll be back a bit before 3:15, just near the end of the quarter. Well, Anderson has the ball out there. But, you know, I've seen this happen before in the last couple of years, Rex. They play with 15 men aside and they seem to lift their game.
They do, because they realise that they're behind the 8th ball, and I don't think that Port Melbourne are any different.
Well, Anderson with a mighty kick down towards the forward zone, off the hands of the pack, and it's through for another behind. So Port Melbourne move on to 7-8. That takes them to 50, and Coburg 7-5, 47. Ian?
Port Melbourne have been doing all the attacking this quarter. They've had 8 scoring shots so far this quarter. Coburg 1, but they've only managed 2 goals, 6.
Eade to Fitzgerald now, and Fitzgerald in the back pocket with Eade running past, calling for the pass. But Fitzgerald has elected to kick up to Pennington, and Pennington is marked short of centre half back. So Pennington from this position into the centre, looking for Herbert, but chipping in there is Douglas, and Douglas is the player to take it. Douglas with a hand pass to Laidler, and Laidler moving away from wide of the centre, up towards Herbert again. Herbert now has the ball in front of him, a good bounce too. Can he get away? Brought down in a rugby tackle, and the umpire says he was tripped, got him a bit low. Ray Shaw, you're shaking your head up there.
No, that was definitely dropping the ball. The player didn't make any effort to kick the ball or handball. He just let the ball go as he was grabbed.
Yes, I think he was grabbed high enough for a fair tackle, but the arm slipped down and ended up around the legs. But in the initial execution of it, it was a proper tackle. He's kicked one, Herbert. He's coming in from an acute angle, kicking towards the Fitzroy Street end of the ground. The goal umpire moves across. It goes across the face of the big sticks. Robertson comes in, and he'll get shoved over the line with the ball for the throw-in to be effective. Rex Hunt.
Okay, well, a pretty fiery sort of a game here at the Junction Oval. 7-8-50 Port Melbourne to Coburg 7-5-47. Dwyer gets the ball down, but it comes down to Hall. Hall of Port Melbourne, that is. Captain coach Gary Bryce comes through, but kicks it forward. But here's Fitzgerald, John Fitzgerald, the Coburg centre man, kicking it back in towards the forward area, looking for Herbert. Herbert's up before acceptances, tucked away by Bradbury. Cleary came through, but it came from Harbison in towards Herbert again. Here comes, it looked like, it's going to be a free kick according to the umpire. And I thought there was a couple of decisions should have come out of that one before that incident. However, Frank Fagona has given the decision, and it's going to go to Herbert. And Herbert's got a chance of putting Coburg's 8th goal on the board. Robert Herbert is around about 45 metres out at the true centre-half forward position, coming up to 18.5 minutes into this second quarter. Breeze seems to have moderated slightly, so he should just about make the distance. He's given it a pretty good go, and he's put it straight through the centre for Coburg's 8th goal.
Suzuki, four-wheel jive. You can throw her around and then hose her down and take her to town. And when you slip her in low, there's no place that she won't go. Suzuki, four-wheel jive. She's so special to drive, you can leave behind a letter.
The new Suzuki Sierra, now smoother on the road, almost unstoppable in the dirt.
Suzuki, four-wheel jive.
Right, the ball comes out of the centre once again, courtesy of Milroy. But here's Doyle, and they need a lift from Doyle as he goes long with a spiral punt looking for Cook. It might bounce the other way. In fact, it hits the post. Bit of bad luck there for the Port Melbourne side, and if that had been a true off break, she would have gone right through the high diddle-diddle, as they say in the crowd. So Port Melbourne go to 7.9.51, and Coburg stay in 8.5.53. Eads on the short there to Pitt. And Pitt takes the ball and goes via the Cape, but he's going to see his player over there. It looks like, well, we don't know who that was over there, but we know that Sheldon's got the ball there now on the left boot, and Sheldon goes in towards Herbert. Herbert's got the break on Bradbury once again and tries to use his pace, but he's tackled. This allows, it looks like Kansas can come in, and Angie picks it up nicely and kicks it back towards the half-back line. Over the top came Sheldon. Nearly took a great mark. Gary Bryce lacking in the pace department, but gets a good bounce from Phil Cleary. It's very close to the boundary line. I thought their Burt was interfered with. Cleary tries to charge through, and it's given against him. Wants to give Kansas one to go on with. But Kansas has got the ball, and that's all that matters, coming up to 20 minutes into this second quarter. Kansas goes long and straight down the centre looking for Hall, but it's punched away by Milroy. Coming through is Pitt for the Coburg side, is picked up by Sheldon on the left boot, spearing the pass towards Laurie Burt, and Laurie Burt's got the ball. Rodder called back on the mark, but here's centre-half forward, and the ball's with Pennington, and he's played well. He's taken a bounce, and he's kicked it rather poorly in towards Dwyer, but Dwyer's been pushed, and umpire Groom saw it.
Yeah, well done by the umpire then.
Great two-umpiring system there. Allowed Groom to keep his eye on Greg Dermott. And Greg saw the 6'9" giant in front of him, gave him a bit of a nudge, but Groom saw him and trapped him and penalised him. You see quite clearly there the infringement as Dwyer comes up and puts it through for a goal, I think. Oh, snuck through for Coburg's 9th goal.
Ted believed that all health funds, like all golf courses, were pretty much the same. And although there is practically no difference in the cost of basic hospital cover when it comes to the other tables, he couldn't be further from the truth. At A&A, all our other hospital tables offer you benefits some others charge extra for, and all for less than you're probably paying now. That's why A&A is the best of health. Call A&A for the best of health.
Bounce from umpire Vagona, and Hall gets the knockout. Comes down the direction of Swan, bounces away from him, comes back to Wilkinson. The umpire says holding the ball, and the free kick will be taken by Halsall. Halsall from the centre, dodging through players, puts Coburg into attack again. Port Melbourne playing with 15 men at the moment, with Carter being, Thompson being ordered off. And now Robertson from centre-half back. Robinson towards centre-half forward, looking for Anderson. Has it knocked away from him, comes down towards Doyle. Doyle down with a hand pass up towards Rodder. Rodder coming in from the right forward pocket to Anderson, dribbled away, and will go through for behind to Port Melbourne, taking them to 7-10-52 to Coburg's 9-5-59. So he takes a short pass on the kick-off to the back pocket position. And it's Harbinson who gets his kick in to be taken by Pennington. Pennington from the half-back line. Umpire's called play on there as he gets the kick now in towards the centre of the ground. Robertson cutting in, and also with him is Harbinson to pull in the mark. So Harbinson from wide of the centre. And Coburg starting to work their way on top. Big Dwyer lopes out. The bounce beats him, and this allows Dermot to come in from behind. The umpire allows the play to continue. Fitzgerald ends up with the ball. He's going for home. Look at him go. He's 20 metres out. Bang! It's on its way and it's through.
In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
Right, the scores are reading now. Coburg 10-5-65, Port Melbourne 7-10-52. And Port Melbourne are paying the penalty for Thompson going off, being ordered off by the umpire and reported. Now Berth gets the hand pass to Pennington. Pennington with the kick towards that centre forward zone. Dwyer comes out. He rose very high but pushed the ball down to the ground. Put away by Dermot. Dermot across towards Davies. Davies into the centre. Away from the pack it goes, and the race for the ball is between Davies and also Freeman. Freeman gets it further upfield. It goes in the direction of Wilkinson. Well, Wilkinson can get away in the clear now as we have a score coming through in second division. Caulfield 6-8, Northcote 2 goals 8. Into the right forward pocket, and the throw in to be effective. Deep on Port Melbourne's forward zone. Rob.
Yes, in fact, it's only about 12 metres around from the scoring zone for Port Melbourne. What a great game we have here. There's the throw-in. The big men go up. No one getting the advantage of it. Swan coming through. He can't take the ball. Swan has it now. Turns round. Screws it back towards goal. The umpire moves across. 2 fingers. It's a goal for Port Melbourne. Well, that was the answering goal that Port Melbourne needed. And we'll see exactly the opportunist there, how quick he was at it. Beautiful shot from behind the goals.
Ray Shaw, what would your attitude be if you had a player ordered off?
Naturally, I wouldn't be very happy at all. But I believe Coburg are winning the game at this stage because their half-back line is running down the ground and Port Melbourne's forwards aren't chasing. And we've seen before Fitzgerald running to an open goal. You know, that was because of the half-back line.
And it's Port Melbourne through Swan, going forward again, right down into the depths of goal. Fred Cook is there, and I think the umpire may have paid a kick against Fred Cook. And we'll have another close look at it in a moment. But Freddie Cook, certainly the player who infringed. It's Eade who'll take the free kick. He goes to the outer side of the ground. Oh, beautiful mark to Wilkinson over the top of Burt there. Wilkinson too far out to score from goal. Certainly a contender for the mark of the day. In it goes. And it's Eade again, who defending grandly for Coburg. Eade there, hesitating as to which way to go, but he decides now to go to the outer side of the ground. The players go up. Wilkinson it is, who comes through again, drives the ball back into the scoring zone. Fred Cook gets the front position over to Doyle. Doyle will take his time, puts it through, and it's a goal for Port Melbourne. Goal for goal at the Junction Oval in the preliminary final. So the difference now is just 1 point. Now you'll see Doyle moving in. Had a little bit of time, but not a lot of time. He's a former thirds player who was forced to move to centre-half forward this year and has played 37 games, and that is his 25th goal for his career. And I'd say a player who has a big future with Port Melbourne. From the bounce, Milroy can't do anything with it. Fitzgerald is there. He's under pressure, comes out now, has a bit of a look. There's his kick towards Laidler. Laidler has the ball in front of him, but meets plenty of opposition. Gary Bryce, a short pass, and it's Pennington. Almost takes the mark. Not good enough, though. Swan. Now back to the player in Sheldon, getting it forward through Laidler. Into the centre-half forward position, knocked to the ground. Moving through is Bryce. He is content to handball, but, gee, that puts his teammates under a lot of pressure there as Cleary takes the ball. What will he do with it? He can't get possession, but he's been given the shove and the nod from the umpire. Well, thanks to Roy Groom. Gary Bryce and Roy Groom were, as you can see there from the picture, having plenty to say. Gary Bryce wants to go on with it too. And Roy Groom says, I'm not too impressed. And it's on behind the play. Back behind play. There it is. No fist being swung at the moment. Well, I don't think there is, but there may have been something going on before. They say where there's smoke, there's fire, but you really wouldn't want to lose another player at this stage, Ray Shaw, would you?
All these little brawls that's going on, Rob, are not doing anything for the game, you know, because it's just really holding it up. I can't stand both sides doing this.
Well, you may recall in the first quarter we had something like 12 minutes of time on because of the interruptions, and if you are watching at home at the moment and you're close to the ground, I really would suggest you come down, because there's a half of great football action to be played here at the Junction Oval, and there's plenty of room too and perfect conditions. And so it's Cleary lining up the big sticks. The crowd roars behind, and I think from that roar they would have to be pro-Port Melbourne people saying it's a behind. And we've now played 4 minutes of time on. Coburg 10-6-66. Port Melbourne 9-10-64. 2 points the difference in the match of the day here at the Junction Oval. Phil Gibbs.
Right, and it won't be long before we have Thompson coming back on the field. He was off for the 15 minutes, and there's about a minute and a half to go, I'd say. He's getting into position, but Dermott now comes in from wide of centre half back. Plays it up towards centre half forward. They rise high. It goes to Anderson. Anderson to Rodder. Rodder now from centre half forward. Shoots at goal, but it's offline and one behind. So Port Melbourne go to 9-11-65. Coburg 10-6-66. There's Carter. And Thompson, rather, coming back on. And Gary Bryce telling him where to go. There's Pennington now, goes for the long hand pass, gets it across here towards Halsall. Halsall now moves into the ball, but also in there is Freeman. Freeman now gets it wide. There's Robertson coming down to gain possession. He goes for the hand pass under a bit of pressure. Comes through towards Freeman, who couldn't gain possession. Coming up and trying to get away were about 2 Port Melbourne defenders. Doyle was one of them, and Hall was also in there. But the umpire has decided a ball. Look at that. Was he pushed or was he shoved? And the umpire's given the free. And it's Sheldon getting it out here and taken away by Dalglish. Dalglish with a pass to Freeman. Freeman up here to Pennington. Pennington now puts it on its way across in the direction of Halsall, who couldn't mark it. Comes through to Bradbury. Bradbury looking for Swan. There's Swan racing in. Gains possession with a left hand pass up to Hall. Hall traps it in the air. Passes out here to Abaya. Abaya now left foots it. Bang across towards centre half forward. Up they rise for it. Pitt couldn't take the mark. There's Cook with a wild kick for goal. And he's put it through for a behind. So Port Melbourne go to 9 goals, 12, 66. The scores are level again with Coburg 10-6, 66. Comments from Rex Hunt and Ray Shaw.
I think, Ray, Fred's got the rule right down the line. If there's a player in a better position, have a shot yourself.
That's right. It just reminded me of Kevin Bartlett just then.
Right, well, play goes on around the wing on the stand side of the ground. And it's Coburg getting into attack through the agency of Pennington towards centre half forward. The big fella Dwyer goes up to drag down the mark and drag down from 6'9". He's kicked 2, this fellow. And there's the replay of it. Down it comes as he puts it on its way. It'll drop short. Look at the defenders down there. To ground it goes. And racing in after it is Robertson. Will he get to nearly caught one, but then gets the hand pass towards Bryce, who couldn't trap the ball. Up he comes again, Robertson. Gets it through here towards Dermott. Dermott now pushes it wider off centre half back. Moving in is Herbert. Herbert now pushes it down onto the ground with Dwyer battling in there. And over the top of it they go. And the umpire, Roy Groom, will say it's a ball out. Boy, are they battling away. Half-time in second division. Caulfield 7-9-51. Northcote 2-9-21. Been playing 31 minutes into the second term. Hall directs the knockout, but it goes to Burke and Cleary. Cleary now high in the air. Let's see what will happen here. Forced down to the hands of Davies, who couldn't break away. And there he is. That's Thompson, who came in, ridden into the ground. But the umpire says he held the ball, and the free kick will be taken for Coburg. And the player to take it is Halsall. Halsall will line them up. Rex Hunt.
Well, Coburg be looking for a bit of a steady goal here from Halsall. And looking at the papers coming down, it seems to be a bit of a gusty wind at the moment, and he might have trouble making the distance. The distance is no trouble, however, but the accuracy is. So Coburg's seventh behind goes on the board, and that puts him in front by the one solitary point. 10 goals, 767 Coburg. The Port Melbourne 9, 12, 66, and the Borough, they're really having their work cut out at the moment as Durbett accepts the kick from Davies on the outer half-back flank. He's going long in towards the centre of the ground, and his target's going to be, it looks like Doyle, but it's punched away by Douglas. The ball comes down towards Robinson, and Robinson puts a big boot into the ball, and if the bounce goes right for Cook, they're in business, but it doesn't. Eade playing particularly well, taps the ball down, gets on towards Sheldon, who's caught on his right foot, but that doesn't make any difference because he gets it to Pennington. Pennington's going to take the bounce, and Wilkinson's going to pressure him, but the ball comes off the boot in an awkward manner and straight to the captain coach of the opposing side, Port Melbourne. Gary Bryce of the Borough puts the ball back to where it came, and here comes Wilkinson, but he's dropped an easy mark. Here comes Sheldon again, and Sheldon's played well in towards centre-half forward, but Mick Thompson's in the road, back on the ground after that compulsory 15 minutes off. So half-time, Coburg 10-7-67, lead Port Melbourne 9-12-66.
1 point the difference, and we'll be back after this break for the statewide. At half-time here at the Junction Oval, Coburg 10-7-67, leading Port Melbourne by a point. Port Melbourne 9-12-66. Ray Shaw, your comments on the game till half-time.
Thanks, Phil. Well, naturally by the score, the game is very even. But the two half-forward lines of both sides are down, and I think that's where the forward thrust are coming for both sides. The half-back flankers for Port Melbourne, Robertson and Bradbury are playing very good games. As for the backman for Coburg, Pennington, and also Harbison is doing very well. I do believe Swan in the centre is playing very well. He's dominating that position. Cleary doesn't seem to be able to pick him up. So I do, and also in the ruck, Milroy and Hall are even at this stage, but it's going to decide, I believe, who's going to be the fitter side. We did see in the last 5 minutes of the quarter some bad kicking from both sides. Even when they were short passing 20 to 30 yards, the ball went to the opposition side. So I really don't know what the sides can do, whether last week's game against us, Coburg might just be let down a bit, and Port Melbourne with the rest, they might come home stronger. But this quarter should surely decide what happens.
Well, what do you think, Rex Hunt?
Well, I think that the half-forward line of Coburg is a little bit average at the moment, but their half-back line is well on top of the Port Melbourne half-forward line, and certainly the Borough need a lift from Doyle and also Cook in those key forward positions. I think that the half-back line from Coburg is running the ball on well, and as Ray said, Pennington has played well, but just a few of the better plays for Coburg I've marked down with Fitzgerald, Halsall, Burt, Laidler, Sheldon and Eade, and for Port Melbourne, Wilkinson, Swan, Bradby, Robertson and Dermott. But the game well poised, Port Melbourne missing some easy shots, but certainly a vital third term coming up.
Well, there's no doubt about it. It's a fiery game, and in a few moments we'll be going down to John Russell for the running of the statewide sprint. But Ian, what about the statistics on the game?
Port Melbourne squandered a lot of opportunities in that quarter. They did most of the attacking. They had a total of 14 scoring shots and could only manage 4 goals, 10 in that second quarter. Coburg 3-3, which is 6 scoring shots. As you can see, team-wise, Coburg started to bridge the gap there in team statistics in that quarter. They've had a total of 126 possessions, Port Melbourne 138. Kicks, Port Melbourne still dominating in that area with 104 to Coburg 87. Marks, as you can see, Coburg started to even it up, 30 to 32. Free kicks evened up in that quarter as well. Port Melbourne 27, Coburg 24. And handball, Port Melbourne 34, Coburg 39.
Right, Ian, just repeating the half-time scores. Coburg 10 goals, 7, 67. Port Melbourne 9, 12, 66. And the man who saw Rancher in action, notching up its 9th win yesterday, was John Russell. Welcome again, John Russell of 3UZ.
And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are with the strains of those magnificent men and their flying machines, and we're about to look at some of our finest professional runners who are appearing in the last of the qualifying heats and the finals today, prior to the running of the final, the outright final next week of the statewide sprint. And we're looking at the first of the 2 qualifying finals of the statewide sprint. As the runners shortly will be called up, I'll go through the field. The back marker on 15 metres in the red jacket is Graham Borchers. Graham West in white is off 16. Pat Healy in blue from 22. Pat Bowd in yellow is off 22. Jeff Child in green from 24. Ron Arthur in the pink jacket from 28 metres. Doug Howie's in black from 32. Greg Stafford in brown from 36. Doug Gittins in purple is on 41, and Norm Yem is the outmarker in the grey on 45 metres. So a star-studded field in the first of the two qualifying finals today, and they're in the starter's hands. Bill O'Connor about to dispatch the field away. So we get set. 400 metres. Runners down. Borch is the back marker. Away they go. And Norman Yem, who's had a wonderful career in professional footing running, is leading them down the back. And his advantage will be about 10 metres in advance of Doug Gittins. In third place in the brown then is Greg Stafford. And the green is making a move. Jeff Child moving up fast to be fourth, followed by Bowd in yellow, Healy, Graham West, and Graham Borch is in the red as last of all, but starting to tack on as they go down the back with about 180 metres left to go. And running along stylishly in the lead is Yem. He's about 6 metres clear. In second place is Doug Howie is coming after him as they round the turn. And the green is running on pretty well, Jeff Child, and they were followed next around the outside by Pat Healy as they straighten up, and Yem is the leader into the straight, maintaining his advantage. Coming home hard in the green is Jeff Child, but it's Norman Yem in front, close to home. Child is trying hard. Norman Yem is going to win it. Norman Yem has won it from Child. And a great reception is Norman Yem of the Sullivan. Sergeant Baker. Great run by Norman Yem from 45 metres, leading all the way to take out the honours. And a great cheer from the crowd. He's been an ornament of the professional foot running game, and there he is, Norman Yem, 45 metres, taking out the honours. Second, the green, Jeff Child, and third in blue, coming home very hard, was Pat Healy, and that's the result of the first heat. 49.02 in the first of the qualifying finals. Here's Rob Asprey to chat with Norman Yem.
Thanks very much, John. Well, I think what we might do is move across and use your microphone if we could. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do something a little bit different here. Normally we only do the interviews on Channel 10, but I know that the crowd would like to hear a word from a very, very favourite athlete and actor, Norman Yem.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Bob. Truly, I must thank everybody sincerely for all your support out there. You have been with me, even though I'm in the twilight of my years as an athlete. I love you all for it. Thank you so much indeed. Also, a man I must thank very much is Bill Mitchell, my trainer. He's been very sick and has come good. And I must thank you, Bill, very, very much indeed, sincerely. Also, my family, Amanda, and the children for putting up with me. Even at my age, I can't even go out and have a drink because I'm here trying to win this, and I've got him by the skin of my teeth. And next week, look out, I'll be there again. And one thing, I must thank Statewide so very, very much for helping our sport sincerely. Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you very much, Norman Yem. And now, Elkie Bergen will present you with the sash. And also, I have a passbook for $200. Just a moment, you're getting interest there. Norman, there's the Statewide passbook. There's $200 in that, the savings account, and just another fine gesture by Statewide. And of course, the final, there's $5,000 for the winner. Congratulations today, a magnificent effort, and certainly a very popular result with the crowd.
Thank you very much, Bob. So much indeed. Thank you.
Good on you, Norman Yem. All right, John Russell, it's all yours again. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Rob. And here we go with the second of the qualifying finals, ladies and gentlemen. Statewide sprint. Final here, and the winner of the final will receive $5,000 in prize money. And we check the finalists in this qualifying. Sam Sullivan in red from 8 metres, Gary Crowell in white from 16, Jim Keeley's in blue from 16, Leon Cassidy yellow 22, Kevin Amery in green from 24, Paul Mullen pink 24, Terry O'Brien in black from 24, Rod Cameron brown 28, Ian Whittaker purple 30, and Bernie Greeley in grey off 34. They're getting set for the second of the two qualifying finals. The statewide sprint over 400 metres. Outmarker in grey, Bernie Greeley. And away they go, and it was a perfect start too, and Greeley leading the way towards the back from Whittaker, followed by Cameron. Then a gap to O'Brien. Mulhan is further back with Amery, followed by Cassidy in yellow. And then there's a break to Crowell in the white, followed by Keeley, and Sullivan in red is tailing down the back with about 250 left to go. And they're starting to pack up in the lead, where Ian Whittaker takes the lead now. Moving up fast in the green is Kevin Amery round that top turn, and they were followed by the pink starting to close in. That's Paul Mullen with a good run. And he's followed by Cassidy as they come around the turn with about 120 metres left to go. Anybody's race here. The green has taken over Kevin Amery on the outside. Finishing fast in the white is Gary Crowell. And also there in the purple Ian Whittaker as they straighten up. Kevin Amery's in front. 80 metres left to go. Finishing very fast is Cassidy in the yellow. Amery still in front of Cassidy close to home. And Amery will go through and win it from Sullivan who flew or Cassidy. And just in behind them in the black jacket was Terry O'Brien. So we'll stand by for the result here. Good run, and that by Kevin Amery to take out the honours. Ran a well-judged race. Kevin Amery is first. Second home in the event was Sam Sullivan, and third was the yellow Leon Cassidy. That's the result of the second of the qualifying heats, and Kevin Amery taking out the honours. Here he is to speak with Rob Asprey.
Thanks very much, John. Well, Kevin, congratulations. There's a little bit of drama around the back there when Bernie Greeley, who's a certain finalist, or was, he came out with an injury. What happened there?
Oh, I don't know. He was on the inside of myself.
Didn't affect you?
Yeah, he threw the whole field out wide. We all had to go around him.
Right. Well, you'll be very pleased with winning today. It was a very, very good effort considering the interference around there.
Yeah, I'm quite happy. It was my best run for at least 3 years.
Well, congratulations. There's a lot of incentive because besides the sash, which we're having a look at the replay now, what were your thoughts coming up the straight?
It's running where I could hang on, really.
You hit the front, you're going to stay there.
That's all right. Try and listen for footsteps, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, you're going to be presented with the sash now. The sash, first of all, by Elkie Bergen, the statewide girl. And in this, and a little kiss, and in this passbook here, I have the savings book. There is $200, which goes to every winner of the heats. And of course, if you win the final, the finalist will get $5,000 from the statewide company, and that's a great gesture.
Thank you very much.
All right, congratulations on a great effort.
Thanks a lot.
Well, there it is. The winners today were Norman Yem. Come on in here, Elkie, don't go away, stay beside me. The winners today were Norman Yem and also Kevin Amery, and I would like to thank Elkie too for doing such a magnificent job as she always does. Thank you very much, Elkie.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to send a cheerio call to Phil Gibbs while we're here?
Hi Phil Gibbs, how are you?
All right, well there it is. That's the action of the statewide sprint. Now back to you, Phil. You should be pretty pleased about that.
Well, I feel a lot better now. It's got the old adrenaline working and the vitamin E, Rob. Anyway, Port Melbourne a 9:12.66. 2 points down on Coburg, 10:7.67.
Dreaming of freedom and where it can take you. You're ready to meet all the friends you can make. Loving the places that you've never been. Ready to ride the great country.
Ansett Pioneers Aussie Pass is your ticket for Go As You Please coach travel. 15, 30 or 60 days. Special discounts on accommodation. Free sightseeing in most capital cities.
Aussie Pass, come on!
Ansett Pioneers Aussie Pass. Ride the great country.
Right now at Simon's, we're stocked up on one shade.
So you can save on any colour, as long as it is beige.
Plush files, Berbers, cut and loops, this colour's all the rage.
And you can save on any colour, as long as it is beige.
Save $10 a metre on 100% wool Berber, only $58. Save $10 on cut and loop, just $38. 10, 15, up to 30% off every beige carpet at Simon's 43 stores.
As long as it is beige, oi!
But hurry!
Mitre 10, Mitre 10.
We're Australia's biggest hardware men.
When you decide to do it yourself around the house, you can be sure Mitre 10 will have everything you need, like doorknobs, taps, screen doors, insulation. Your Mitre 10 man is a do-it-yourself specialist, so before you start any job, ask his advice. He'll show you how to do the job properly. You'll save time and money.
Where do you go for hardware?
Mitre 10.
Right, the umpires coming out onto the ground now. Field umpires Roy Groom and Frank Pagona. Coburg 10:7.67, leading Port Melbourne 9:12, a total of 66. We'll be covering the grand final next week, of course, in First Division. Preston are already there. Will be Port Melbourne or Coburg. And there's another 2 quarters to go, and by gee, there'll be hard quarters for both sides. Just looking again at the half-time scores from the second division grand final over at Toorak Park. Caulfield is 7-9, leading Northcote by 5 goals at the moment. Northcote are 2 goals 9. There we have it, and we're being entertained at the present time by Australia's world-famous Footscray Yarraville City Band. And I must mention they'll be entertaining during the Melbourne Cup Carnival this year, also out at Flemington. Also for sporting fans, on October the 2nd, which is not very far off, we'll be covering racing from Flemington from 12 noon until 5 o'clock. Certainly a carnival atmosphere here in the final series. It's been a bit disappointing that the crowds are down, but I would say, Ray Shaw, after today's exhibition out there by both teams, we should have a bumper final crowd for next week.
Yeah, I believe so, Bill. The crowd is a bit down today, and it's such a beautiful day to come out and watch such a great game, because probably like the first semis and preliminary finals, they're all exciting games because whoever loses out of the race. But today we've seen a crackerjack game between these two sides, and with only 1 point of difference at half-time. The third quarter, I think, is going to tell the story, whichever side is going to go into the grand final.
Well, Rex, I suppose when you look at it, the way this game has developed today, it's typical of a VFA final game, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it just showed that the top three sides this year were really going to contest that premiership right from the start. Unfortunately, Geelong West just making up the numbers there, and Port Melbourne having no trouble. But I tell you what, I think Port Melbourne have really got their backs to the wall at this stage. I believe that Coburg are playing the better football, but if ever there's a saying, a vital third term, Phil, I think this is the one coming up.
Can you see Preston being in trouble next week?
Well, I'm not going to say they're going to be in trouble, but I'm going to say I wouldn't think that they would have things all their own way like they did last week against Coburg.
Port Melbourne coming out, and led by the captain and coach, Gary Bryce, onto the ground, who elected to play or be on the interchange bench at the beginning of the match. Ian, what about goal kickers today?
Goal kickers for Port Melbourne, 2 each to Anderson and Wilkinson, 1 each to Abaya, Cook, Rodder, Swan and Doyle. And for Coburg, 3 to Laidler, 2 each to Herbert and Dwyer, and 1 each to Harbinson, Freeman and Fitzgerald.
Right, umpire Roy Groom has been in the rooms of Coburg, and we're waiting on them to make their appearance, with Port Melbourne out after Frank Pagona goes into their room. And now, Laurie Bird leads the Coburg side onto the ground to do battle in the second half, with Coburg 10-7, 67, Port Melbourne 9-12, 66.
A car's suspension controls its performance, handling and comfort. It's the same with shaving. That's why the Gillette Contour suspension system hugs every curve, smooths every stroke. Gillette Contour pivoting head adjusts to the perfect angle. It shaves fast, cleans easily. Change up to Gillette Contour. High performance shaving.
Tonight on 10, Clint Eastwood is Bronco Billy. He's fast on the draw, and he never misses. He's fast with his fists and pulls no punches. And he's even faster with women. But in the end, Bronco Billy always gets what he wants. Clint Eastwood is Bronco Billy, 10's action-packed Sunday movie, tonight at 8:30.
Well, we noticed Chad Band is out on the ground with Port Melbourne. He hasn't been on in the first half. Probably put him on to match the height of Milroy in the ruck, because he will be going up. By the look of him at the moment, he's moved into the centre. He'll be going up in that first ruck.
I think you'll find Hall play at centre-half back. Or full-back. Because Dermott and Hall down there.
There's quite a discussion going on between the players there at centre-half back, isn't there? Look at it.
Yeah.
But Hall seems
Hall's
to be
doing all the
directing it.
talking, yeah.
So you're probably right.
Obviously, Chad Band's going to try and counteract Milroy, and Ray, I'm sure you'll agree that it was because of Milroy's dominance in the latter part of both first and second quarters that Coburg got a good run on.
Yeah, he played very well, and naturally he's the best ruckman on the ground anyway, but with Chad Band coming in against him, it's going to knock down the dominance in his height, and it's also with the centre bounce at VFA football these days, it's just the matter of wrestle each other and things like that. I also noticed that GL Anderson's in the forward pocket for Coburg also.
Right, Ray, 1 point the difference as the umpires are waiting to check with the respective skippers. Signals to the timekeepers, and we're ready to get underway. There it goes. Now let's see if these Port Melbourne changes make the difference. Chadban lining up side by side with Milroy. In they go as the bounce takes place. And it was Milroy showing his superiority. Goes bang downfield with the kick, with the punch, but taken away here by Tances. Tances of Port Melbourne up towards the half-forward line, but a free kick being awarded, and it will be taken for the Coburg side by Sheldon. Sheldon out towards the wing, and later, no, it was Douglas to come in and pull in the mark. So Douglas from the outer wing position plays it across looking for Milroy. Milroy couldn't get both hands to the ball. It comes through towards Kavanagh. Kavanagh now out towards the half-forward line. There's Douglas going in again. Passes it backwards in the direction of Dalgleish. Dalgleish up towards the half-forward line. And Anderson is the player to come in for Coburg to take the mark. So Anderson left foots it across towards that centre half-forward zone. Being pushed into the ball was Tances, who couldn't break away. There was a pull around the neck of Fitzgerald, but it comes out to Cleary. Cleary goes for the long kick downfield. A good bit of shooting, and it's gone through for a goal. So Coburg go on to 11-7, 73, leading Port Melbourne 9-12, 66. Have a look at this from behind the goals as it comes up. There's the kick. And floats right through with a good bit of shepherding there.
Just noticed there, Phil, that Bradbury has called for the trainer and appears to be in some sort of a concern there at centre-half back.
As he's limping quite a bit as Fitzgerald gets it now, and the ball ends up with Paddington rising high, but the umpire says around the neck to Doyle, and Doyle will get the free. So Doyle, there's Bradbury limping as he goes downfield. That was against Douglas. It comes up towards Pitt, and Pitt juggling the ball takes the mark in defence for Coburg. And closely watched by Wilkinson. A hand pass across here to Burt. Burt now moving quickly up towards Herbert. Herbert on the half-back line with Swan coming in quickly. Turns and then races away from Swan, with Swan giving a desperate lunge. It goes up towards that half-forward line. Davies trapped the ball. Chadban bends down. He can't bend quickly enough. Milroy is the player to get it away from him. Coming through is Davies again. Chadban having another go at it. Gets it across here. Crowd yelled for the ball as Tances got rid of it. Anderson gets tripped. Umpire calls play on. He's been sat on Anderson, but still play goes on. Fitzgerald to Cleary. Cleary with a slightly misdirected hand pass to Anderson. Comes back here towards the wing. Trying to trap it is Doyle. Doyle now will get the ball. Dangerous place to bounce, but gets the hand pass in here to the wing on the stand side of the ground. Kicked by Kavanagh. Across towards centre half forward. The ball hits Bryce on the head. Comes out towards Wilkinson, but being tapped along here by Rodder. And there could be a punch thrown any tick of the clock, but away goes Sheldon, away from the pack. It goes up towards centre half forward, and Davies on the back line has taken the mark in defence. So Davies in quite a bit of play here in the first few minutes of the third quarter for Port Melbourne. Burrows into attack, up towards centre half forward. Bounces in open territory to Rodder. Rodder to Kavanagh. Kavanagh shoots the goal on its way. Shepherding here by Cook, and it's through for a goal. Quick reply there by Port Melbourne. They go to
in today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
On the bounce here, Chadban tried to get around Milroy, couldn't do so, but he gets the second go at it. Comes through to Burt, and then picked up here for Coburg by Anderson. Anderson now gets it down towards Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald being tackled, pushed to the ground, and the umpire says a free kick. I thought he came in from nearer the front. Well, there we are. Free kick going to Fitzgerald, the centre man. Pulls one sock up. Wants a good-looking leg to kick with, by the look of it. He's kicked 1-2. So Fitzgerald lining them up from the true centre half-forward position, kicking towards the lake end of the ground. Off the side of the boot slightly, but will swing around into the goal square. And it looks like a Port Melbourne. No, I thought it was a Port Melbourne mark. Gee, it'd be interesting to see that one again on replay. You were looking through the binoculars, Rob, but...
Well, Phil, at the time, there was no doubt in my mind. I had the glasses right on it that there were a few hands there, but if I was umpiring, I'd have played the mark as the umpire did.
Well, we got the kick going in now. There it goes on its way. It's through for a goal. And Coburg go to 12-7.
Do something for yourself. Join the Army Reserve.
Well, Bradbury has gone off the ground. That's why we saw Thompson come on. He limped up the race, and I'd say Rex, he'd be a big loss in the Port Melbourne side.
Well, as you said, you're very impressed with him, and he was one of the major reasons why Port Melbourne was still in the game at half-time. A very, very creative player.
You agree there, Ray?
Oh, he's an excellent VFA player.
All right, there goes the bounce, and Milroy again directing the knockout. Players coming up to tackle here. Doyle had it, but Douglas sharks it away. Over the top goes Kavanagh. He's trying to punch the ball clear as Billy Swan comes around. He gets it out towards Wilkinson. Was tripped by Bird, and the umpire says, free kick. Free kick to Bird.
I still think the player's got to have some opportunity to get rid of it, Phil.
Yes, they've been a bit quick a couple of times on that in the last quarter, and again on this. All right, Dalgleish has possession now, and Dalgleish up towards Herbert. Herbert from the half-forward line, fumbles, but has plenty of time to play. He goes for the hand pass, and Harbinson moving in, has the bounce go against him and over the line. Coburg 12-7, 79, Port Melbourne 10-12, 72. I'm just feeling Port are starting to crack a bit here, Rex.
I don't know whether it's cracked, but certainly Coburg pouring on the pressure, and Coburg know that this is the vital term for both sides.
All right, in it comes once again, and it looked like Chad Band in front to get it out, and it comes out to Kavanagh. He gets it to Anderson. Anderson now from the back line, gets the two bounces in, and then bangs it up towards that half-forward line. Little Bayo wait down for the crumbs. Chad Band pushes it down to the ground. Rodder comes in. Rodder now with a pass to the Bryce, the skipper. Bryce with a pass there up towards Chad Band. Can he get to it quickly enough? There he is loping in. Pass it across here to Doyle. Doyle now to Abaya. Abaya screws it back here to Wilkinson. Wilkinson too far under the ball. There's Cook pushed in the back. The umpire allows the play to continue. What are you going to do for a free kick? He's given it for a trip. And it's gone the other way. Well, Ray, you're nodding your head. You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was holding the ball against Freddie Cook anyway, so Coburg still got the free kick.
Well, that's why you're captain and coach of Preston, I suppose. OK, it goes to Eade. Eade now towards the half-forward line, but this is Mick Thompson coming in, playing it across here towards Kavanagh. And Kavanagh now with Port still trying to attack, going for the short pass to Doyle. Doyle accepts that pass wide at centre half-forward. Wilkinson on the ground in the hands of trainers down here. And there's the long kick down towards Cook. There's three Coburg players there. Oh, Cook was held then, but the umpire watching says it will be a ball out. Well, who is it being carried off the ground? It's Wilkinson, yes. And Bradbury will be coming back on. There's Bradbury, he's on the boundary line, and Wilkinson carried off the ground. Here's Abaya now, scouting around the pack. Turns, puts it on its way. It's offline, through for the minors score of one behind. So Port Melbourne go to 10-13. With Coburg on 12-7. Here's Rex Hunt.
Yes, a pretty evenly poised game at this stage, and the breeze not having any great effect. Here's the replay of Wilkinson going down, and he's off the ground at the moment, and I notice that the club doctor is going around to attend to him. Not a lot there as Dermott comes in and takes the mark. True centre wing position on the members' side of the ground. Laidler very close to the mark, but the ball goes forward, and here comes Pitt defending Granley. Both bandages on the knees, a little bit suspect, but he's playing well. Robertson's in front, punched away by Harbinson over the boundary line and out of bounds. Well, a complete contrast, this game, to the first two finals, and it's a very, very tense struggle as Chad Band gets over the top of Milroy, but here comes Harbinson, cheeky enough to have a bounce, lines it up, it's coming back, and it's in! Oh, great play by Coburg, and their 13th goal is on the board.
Hi, I'm Fletch, and if you're into photography, you've got to come into Fletcher's. We have a full range of photographic gear to choose from, and you can save on our great quality prints. They're only 18 cents each, so why pay more? And how about this great discount coupon book? It's free with every camera you purchase from Fletcher's. For the right advice at the right price, you can betcha Fletcher's got it.
Okay, there's a shot of Wilkinson coming around. Seems to have recovered okay. As Port Melbourne 10-13-73, a trailing Coburg 13-7-85. There's Milroy. He's kicked it towards the half-forward line, but little Frank Bergona says, come back 15 metres. Thanks very much, Chad Band. You've gone over the top of the mark. As I said, evenly poised at this stage, and Coburg 2 straight kicks ahead, and they'd certainly want to go into the final quarter a little bit further ahead than that. Milroy's taking plenty of time. I wouldn't think that he'd get anywhere near it as he kicks it rather poorly. He tried to kick it too far then as Davies went over the top. The big punch came from Hall, but it came down in the direction of Sheldon. He was tackled. There's a scrimmage of players. I think an umpire Groom will come in and bounce the ball. The true full forward position for the Coburg side. And at 11 minutes into this third quarter, Coburg have made the slight break. There's Wilkinson coming off. Milroy giving the ball up, and Frank loves the crowd going berserk, and he made sure that they cheered that time, and no cans coming forth as the ball goes over towards Cleary. It came out towards Fitzgerald, and coming in there was Anderson. G.L. Anderson, the former Collingwood reserve player, gets it at Cleary. Cleary's the dasher and goes forward looking for, it looked like down there Herbert, but it was punched away. Coming through is Robinson. Robinson's defending grandly and puts the ball in the direction of Bryce. Bryce is tackled by Cleary. Will give away the free kick, and the Port Melbourne captain coach will take the free kick.
Right, and he goes back now, gets ready for this one. From the half-back line in towards the centre of the ground. Players move in under the ball. Douglas is in there, forced down, and it's Rodder coming out. He went to hand pass, dodged cleverly. Good play, Rodder. Comes up towards the half-forward line, but Pitt in front of Bradbury comes in to take the mark. Bradbury getting a little slow off the mark. Probably had the injection, slowed him down. It comes through now to Cleary. Cleary with a wide hand pass through to Eade. Eade now from the half-back line up here to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald from the outer wing. Gets around Anderson. Now we're left-footed towards that centre half-forward position. Let's see what happens down here as they got for it, and it's a good mark. Laidler. Now, Laidler's kicked 3 so far, hasn't he, Ian?
3 straight, all in the first quarter.
Have a look at this. Northcote coming back 12 minutes into the third quarter. Caulfield 7-9. Northcote 6 goals, 12. Certainly not over at Toorak Park. And now we have Laidler lining them up, putting it down. Bradbury's coming off the ground again as Laidler puts it on its way. He's put it through for another goal.
Now, Weasel's van's his pride and joy, and Big Mac here's a big load boy. But when big loads are needed fast, there's a new way to freight you can't go past. TAA Cargo flying high, a 15-ton load, fast containers in the sky. TAA speed bags fit in the case, big ones, little ones, they got the space. Door to door and estate with ease, and giant containers that fly overseas. TAA Cargo, fast containers in the sky.
Well, now it comes down towards Fitzgerald on the bounce. Fitzgerald of Coburg up towards the right forward pocket, and Dwyer comes out to jackknife into the ball to take the mark. Now he was in front of Hall that time too. Now also we have Wilkinson back on the ground, and we see Evans warming up around the boundary line. Now Dwyer's kicked 3, coming in from that right forward pocket. They're starting to really get on top now, Coburg. He puts it on its way. Goal umpire stays there. It's a goal all right, and Coburg go to 15-7. That was his fault. Now let's look at him lining them up here. very deliberate in his approach to the ball. And there it goes with Hall on the mark, and he's put it right through. And as straight as a gunshot. So Coburg at 15.7.97, Port Melbourne 10.13.73. Is it panic time for Port Melbourne, Ray Shaw?
Well, Coburg are running the ball very well. They're running down the ground, they're keeping possession of it, and Port Melbourne are just not chasing hard enough.
Right, there's Swan now chasing, and he's tearing through. Port with the ball. And the free kick will be taken by Coburg. Rob Asprey.
Yes, there's a bit of frustration there from Gary Bryce in his actions and also in his conversation, I would suggest. A little bit of a nudge there from Dalglish. Ian Gibbs, what's the state of the scoring?
Coburg are starting to get on top. They've kicked five straight goals in this quarter. Port Melbourne 1 goal 1.
And the difference now is exactly 24 points. That's 4 goals. There's the chance now for Coburg to score right into the teeth of goal. And the umpire has found a free kick. Umpire Groom having plenty to say down there. And we'll have a look at it again. Players moving through. That's Burt with the ball, grabbed there and certainly around the neck. So Laurie Burt will go back. Regarded by many as the best ruck rover in the VFA, a very strong player, always puts the ball to advantage. He's kicked 125 goals and played 147 games, so you'd certainly say at 28 years of age he's a veteran. That's the kick by Burt, and the umpire doesn't have to move. It's another goal to Coburg.
Do something for yourself. Join the Army Reserve.
And we've played 17 minutes now, and it's 16-7, 103, and Port Melbourne are 10-13-73. The ball now going to the player down there in Pennington. Pennington couldn't do anything with it. Pitt gets it past Dalglish into the wide open spaces of the wing right in front of the grandstand in our broadcast box. Harbinson, he's under a lot of pressure there. Almost got a free kick from the ump, but Roy Groom will call for it now and bounce it on the wing position proper. So it's Coburg kicking to the left-hand side of your screen. The lake end of the screen favoured by a breeze which has freshened slightly. The ball down there towards Tansis. Can he do anything with it? It's picked up by Anderson. A quick kick by Anderson. It finds Cleary right on the VFA side. Cleary hesitates, then sets the ball up. The big men get ready to fly. Up they go, almost a mark. No, it comes to the ground. Now the chance for Kavanagh. He takes it. Slams the slipper into the boot, into the ball, and it's Bryce who will mark on the right forward flank position. Bryce now straight down to Fred Cook. The sun will be in his eyes there, but Cookie from behind positions himself beautifully and takes the mark. An interesting story in the Sunday Observer today by Howard Lee. Fred Cook saying, Phil, that he's going to play until he's 40. Do you think he can do it? You know Cookie pretty well.
Well, knowing how Cookie can play, I'm sure he will.
42 now, according to Rex Hutt. So the personality forward of the VFA, Fred Cook, kicked 100 goals 7 times, lines it up, and the umpire moves across and says, you've missed Fred, it's only 1 behind. He's kicked 1 goal, 3 behinds for the day, and Freddie Cook has kicked 1,117 goals, and I think that's a pretty good effort in anybody's language.
How many behinds, Rob?
How many behinds? I don't know, Phil, but he'll kick yours if you're not careful. That's Fitzgerald now, beating the ball back towards the statewide sign, and that's the wing position here at the Junction Oval. Now, what's the play now? It's picked up by Chad Band across to Kavanagh, can't do anything with it. Now grabbing the ball is Pitt. He doesn't muck round. Right down towards the full forward position for Coburg. They can score from here, but it's a beaut defence work there by Tansis. Across to Robertson. He'll kick the ball back towards the wing position. Moving in is Chad Band, grabs the ball and a beautiful throwing mark. Desperate mark there by Chad Band. One of the big men on the Junction Oval today. The kick doesn't get much distance, but it's going in the right direction. Knocked down, opportunity for Gary Bryce, but it beats him over the line and out of bounds. 20 minutes have elapsed in the third quarter. 103 plays 74. Phil.
Ray, team movements, have you noticed them?
Yeah, Peter Hall has been moved from full-back to centre-half forward. I think it's a very good move too.
So the ball into attack again for Coburg, but it's Port Melbourne defending grandly. Wilkinson, who came off before, looked very injured, has recovered beautifully. Umpire watching closely, and a free kick to Wilkinson over the shoulder. Wilkinson on the wing position in front of the grandstand. A short pass across to Dermott. Dermott, who started off at fullback, now will take his kick on the wing position. Has a look. Oh, wobbly old punt kick, and puts Wilkinson under the hammer there. And another free kick to Wilkinson as Halsell goes in and gives him a hand in the face. An open hand, it seemed. Wilkinson, short pass to Bryce. Gary Bryce. Across towards Milroy, who will defend. Oh, interference there. Two Coburg players interfere with each other, but it's Cleary who saves the day. Fitzgerald gets his kick in quickly to the wide open spaces. It's a race for the ball now, and it's Thompson leading in the race for the ball. I was just thinking, Phil, depending on whether Port Melbourne win today, this could be Gary Bryce's last game.
Yes, there's a lot of speculation about Gary, but he's been on the interchange a lot this year, and probably it is his last game as a player, but certainly not as a coach, Rob.
Right, so we have now 21.5 minutes elapsed in the third quarter. It's Anderson taking the ball. Short pass to Kavanagh. Lets it bounce. Content now to pick it up. Oh, handballs there, and lucky to get away with that by Swan into the forward pocket position. A mark by Rodder is muffed down to the ground. Players, look at them throwing themselves in there now. This is desperate football. So the bounce will take place in the left forward pocket position for Port Melbourne. 55 plays 58 in the second division grand final. So it's Caulfield leading by just 3 points, Phil.
Freeman about to come on too, I'd say, for Coburg, warming up at the boundary line. Bryce lines him up, comes in, puts it through, and there's a goal, a desperate one to Port Melbourne. They go to 11-14. Right, a good goal then by Bryce as he moved in, and there's the replay of it. Punched across here by the little fellow in a bayer, and eventually ends up with Bryce, lines them up and puts it through, and that was one that was needed by the Boroughs. It takes them to 80. They're 23 points down now, with Coburg 16-7 and Port Melbourne 11-14. Frank Bagona with Milroy and Chadban going in. It comes down to Herbert. Herbert now tried the hand pass to get through the pack. Hall has been moved up the centre half forward, traps the ball, puts it back to Anderson. Anderson towards that half forward line. There's Kavanagh moving in. Kavanagh now trying to control. Right behind him is Sheldon, and it's forced over the line. Well, Port's starting to do a bit of attacking and have received some decisions in the last 15 minutes. Freeman now moving on the ground for Coburg. Abaya gets the ball, passes it across here. Rodder was manhandled, and the umpire blows the whistle, says holding the ball, and the free kick will be taken by Rodder. So Rodder now with the kick high in the air, looking for his skipper in Bryce, who's crowded there. Pennington tried to turn quickly. Wilkinson's grabbed high, and the umpire says he held it. A little bit of a struggle going on, and it'll be Wilkinson penalised the 15 metres. Two lots of 15 metres. So there it is. And Freeman, the player who just came on to take the kick. He plays it up towards Cleary. He's a bit far under the ball. He was holding on to his opponent, and the free kick will be taken by Thompson. Thompson now to Davies. Davies in open territory, can take off if he wants to. A pass to Wilkinson. A long pass to Wilkinson, trapped before it goes over. Not a good one from Davies, but Wilkinson looks a little bit groggy there, Rex.
Well, so he should. He went down very, very heavily before and has made a remarkable recovery.
In it comes, the two big fellows in there, and Chadban directs the knockout. It comes across to Burt. Burt tackled. Hand passes out of the packet, ends up with Cleary, and Cleary now, like a jack in the box, takes off. Sends it towards the half-forward line. Will be taken away by Harbinson. Harbinson now streaking downfield. Will get the long kick, and it's a goal. A good one to Coburg, and they go to 17-7.
In In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
Right on the bounce, a free kick was awarded to Milroy. Coburg have kicked 7 straight to Port's 2-2 in this quarter. As it goes up towards the half-forward line, Cleary lunged at the ball on the second bounce, but it's taken away by Thompson. Pushed further afield to Dermott. Dermott now to Robertson. Now Robertson has all on his own, but he's decided to pass here to Abaya. Abaya back to Dermott again. Dermott back to Robertson. By gee, they're fiddling around a lot. That's what's needed. The boot into the ball. Goes up to the half-forward line, and Kavanagh is the player to receive. Wilkinson out there on his own. He's tried to pass to Wilkinson. That comes off too. Wilkinson went to play on all. Propped at the right second. He's on quite an angle. You'll be able to see that angle with the camera right behind it towards the Fitzroy Street end. He's kicked 2-2. He's got 2 players on the mark down here. Have a look at this. Look at that. Now the umpire, how can Ray, you'd see that pretty clearly. How can they get away with it so close to the umpire?
Oh, the thing was that one player was on the mark and the other one was about 2 yards behind him, Phil.
Oh, gee. You'd be yelling if that happened, wouldn't you?
If I kicked a goal, I wouldn't be.
Right. Here's Rex Hunt.
Okay, the ball's put back into play, and it's gone right across the other side towards the wing position, but here's G.L. Anderson. He's got the chance to pick it up and kick it in towards the centre-half forward position. Cleary interfered with his opponent there in Thompson, and Bagona's going to give the free kick, and it's going across to Thompson. The hand passes on to Dermott, and here comes Graham Anderson. They need a lift from this guy because he's the real dynamo, and he gets it to Hall, and Hall drops the easiest of marks. They're down in confidence at the moment at the Borough, and Anderson's dribbling the ball along in front of him. Looks for Kavanagh, but the pass is offline. Good pressure by Sheldon. Sees the ball go over the boundary line and out of bounds. Coming up to 26 minutes into the vital third term, and Coburg doing it quite easily at the moment, but they'd certainly want to have a decent break at three-quarter time, because Port Melbourne with the wind and coming from behind, you can never write them off. The big player was Chadband, but Hall got it away nicely. It finally came out towards Douglas, and Douglas towards centre-half back looking for Laidler, but the ball was punched away by Anderson. Here comes Kavanagh. Here's Wilkinson at centre-half forward, screaming for the ball. He's going to be put under great pressure by Fitzgerald. There's Swan. He's gone out of the play, and great pressure by the Coburg defence team. Dropped the ball. Wilkinson hand passed the ball over the top of his head. Comes out in towards the centre of the ground, and here's Harbinson. Harbinson sees his team player over there in Freeman coming past. Freeman's grabbed too low, according to umpire, groomed by Chadband. And Peter Freeman can take the resultant free kick. The hand passes on, and it goes towards the centre of the ground, and here's Pennington. He's playing like a ballet dancer and gets out of it well, but straight to Graham Anderson, and Graham Anderson can relieve the pressure for the Port Melbourne side. 11:15:81, Port trailing Coburg 17-7-109 as the ball goes out to Dermott. Dermott takes a bounce, and Sheldon runs over to put pressure on him, but the ball goes in towards the forward line, and there's an infringement there. It looks like it's going to go to Rodder. Well, the infringement was there, and the umpire was groomed, and he was right on the spot to award that free kick to Rodder, and he's going to be kicking straight into this breeze, but he sees Bryce on his own, but there's time on. The arm went out, and the crowd don't like it, but the time on was being set there, so the ball's got to go back to Rodder. And of course, the Coburg side have had a chance to cover all the Port Melbourne players, and he kicks it in a very, very awkward fashion, didn't drop it correctly, and one behind 1 point to the Port Melbourne side. So 11:16:82 Port Melbourne, trailing Coburg 17-7-109.
Well, Port Melbourne are kicking themselves out of it when you look at that scoreboard, 11:16 to 17-7. Comes out towards Anderson on the half-back line, failing to take the mark. But Herbert comes into it. Oh, and put it straight into the hands of Dermott, who passes this time to Abaya. Abaya goes downfield now from centre-half forward. Bang! Looking for Hall, but it comes through to Cook. Cook with a hand pass to Rodder, who nearly turned into trouble. What did the umpire say? He threw it. Did he throw it?
I didn't think he did throw it. I thought he hand passed it perfectly.
Ray, you're shaking your head there too.
Oh, I thought it was a legitimate hand pass, Phil. What?
Right, well, it's 5 minutes of time on now, and there's the kick going to the outer side of the ground, and Pennington
setting himself and takes the mark. Have a look at that disputed handball again. Well, there it is. You thought it was a handball? I agree with that. So Douglas now at the true centre half-back position. Port Melbourne needing goals, kicking inaccurately, but of course I must point out they will be coming home with a win, so don't leave your set. Anything could happen yet. Dermot it is, goes for a bounce. Handball across to Wilkinson, in possession now. The left forward flank position. Douglas throwing himself at the ball. That's Wilkinson coming in and getting one at the back, and Wilkinson will take the kick. And a 15-metre penalty to boot. More like 20 metres. Certainly within scoring range now. Wilkinson, recruited from Hawthorn in 1980, has kicked 2 goals, 3 so far today, 22 years of age. Wilkinson sets the ball up high, putting it back on the right angle, and the umpire says it's a goal to Wilkinson and Port Melbourne. So now Port Melbourne 12-16, 88. Coburg 17-7, 109. Ray Shaw, let's have a look at that again.
Yes, it was a very nice goal by Wilkinson, who's probably Port Melbourne's best player. But it's interesting to note that Fred Cook isn't leading today, and I think the players are looking for him to lead. But Freddie's just standing back there and waiting for the big kick.
Fitzgerald taking the kick right in the centre of the ground. The infringement there. The difference is 21 points. Still anybody's game. Long kick down there, but it'll be Thompson, I should say, handballing across to Abaya, knocks it along in front of him. But recovering beautiful is Freeman, and a bit of a shove there will give him the kick. Across to Cleary. Cleary could run into trouble, but wheezes his way out of trouble. Handballs into trouble, though, as Abaya smothers the ball, and it's on the ground. But a free kick, the umpire says, you're all over him. So Tony Abaya will take the kick. 3/4 time in the second division grand final at Toorak Park. Northcote 9-13-67, leading Caulfield by 2 points, 9-11-65, and it's 3/4 time here, Phil.
Yes, and Coburg 17-7, 109, leading Port Melbourne 12-16, a total of 88.
When they went, war was a word they'd read, a reality they had yet to experience. They could handle anything except the odd, angry shot that spelt death. So they laughed and joked and tried to forget. Graham Kennedy, Brian Brown and John Jarrett star in the Odd Angry Shot, 10's Monday movie at 8:30.
Might at 10, might at 10.
We're Australia's biggest hardware men.
When you decide to do it yourself around the house, you can be sure Mitre 10 will have everything you need, like doorknobs, taps, screen doors, insulation. Your Mitre 10 man is a do-it-yourself specialist, so before you start any job, ask his advice. He'll show you how to do the job properly. You'll save time and money.
Where do you go for hardware? Mitre 10.
The police are now equipped with the most advanced radar equipment to help reduce our road toll. So if you speed these days, the chances of getting caught are much higher, and the penalties are tough. Perhaps loss of license and certainly heavy fines. Now, before you put your foot down, remember, radar is around.
Hi, I'm Fletch, and if you're into photography, you've got to come into Fletcher's. We have a full range of photographic gear to choose from, and you can save on our great quality prints. They're only 18 cents each, so why pay more? And how about this great discount coupon book? It's free with every camera you purchase from Fletcher's. For the right advice at the right price, you can betcha Fletcher's got it.
I've done it! I've invented the toggler. It's perfect for hanging or securing paintings, curtain rods, shelves, hanging baskets, goldfish, anything at all. In plaster and brick walls and ceilings, it's simple. Just fold it, push it, and pop it. My revolutionary new anchor design means that the toggler won't slip or twist. You can get togglers from all good hardware stores where you see this display. The toggler. Whoops, it won't let you down.
Right, back here at the ground, we're just waiting on the teams to break up, but let's have a summary on the game. 2 3/4 time, the captain and coach of Preston, Ray Shaw. What do you think now, Ray?
I do think Coburg can go ahead with the game now. They're, 21 points in front. Although Port Melbourne are kicking with the win, it's probably only a 2-goal win. looking at Coburg at three-quarter time, they do look a little bit tired. A lot of their players have got their socks down, but you know, the last quarter, and once you get the ball, it does bring out another yard in your legs. Port Melbourne, unfortunately, are missing out at centre-half forward. Shane Doyle there has been out of the game for 1.5 quarters now, and also Fred Cook has been a big disappointment today. He's kicked 1 goal, 3. And Fred's not playing in front, and he's got to play in front to give the Port Melbourne little players an opportunity to scout around him and pick up the crumbs. But at this stage, I do believe Coburg can go into the grand final. They've got a good lead at this stage, but I think the first goal is going to make the big difference.
Righto, and we go to Rex Hunt.
Well, one of the most dangerous things that anybody out there viewing this telecast could do was to write off this Port Melbourne side, particularly with Fred Cook, the VFA greatest full forward, with only 1 goal to his account at this stage. The game, 16 players, is designed to open up the play, and Fred is in the position to be able to lead the onslaught by the Port Melbourne side. They're kicking with the breeze, but I would not write them off at this particular stage.
You can't write them off, but they're in a heck of a lot of trouble at the moment, and Coburg, Ray said, maybe just losing that yard in that third quarter, but by gee, they've put up a magnificent performance so far. Ian, what do these statistics show?
Port Melbourne is starting to pay for their inaccuracy. Both teams had a total of 7 scoring shots in that quarter. Coburg kicking 7 straight goals, Port Melbourne 3 goals 4. Port Melbourne kick getters, Swan a little bit quieter in that quarter, a total of 16 kicks for the game. Kavanagh 17, Ebea 13, and Wilkinson, he'd be Port Melbourne's best player with 13 kicks. Coburg kick getters include Sheldon with 11, Fitzgerald's playing a great game with 16 kicks, Pick 12, Burt 12 and Pennington 12. Goal kickers for Port Melbourne, 3 to Wilkinson, 2 to Anderson and 1 each to Ebea, Cook, Rodder, Swan, Doyle, Kavanagh and Bryce. And for Coburg, 4 to Laidler, 4 to Dwyer, 3 to Harbinson, 2 to Herbert and 1 each to Freeman, Fitzgerald and Cleary.
At three-quarter time, Coburg is 17-7, 109, leading Port Melbourne 12-16, 88.
Mitre 10, Mitre 10.
We're Australia's biggest hardware men.
When you decide to do it yourself around the house, you can be sure Mitre 10 will have everything you need, like doorknobs, taps, screen doors, insulation. Your Mitre 10 man is a do-it-yourself specialist, so before you start any job, ask his advice. He'll show you how to do the job properly. You'll save time and money.
Where do you go for hardware? Mitre 10.
There are those little moments in every single day when a burst of PK freshness will help you on your way. Taste the PK freshness, feel the pleasure right away. Get a burst of PK freshness to help you on your way. Share the PK pleasure, taste the freshness right away. Get a burst of PK freshness and have a happy day.
The VFA Festival of Finals Football, proudly brought to you by Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society.
Right, well, there's Harold Martin laying it down to his team to go on with the job. And he'll want them to apply the pressure here in the final quarter. We're looking around at Port Melbourne to see if they're making any changes. They ended up with Hall going to centre-half forward, and it's obvious Rex he'll be in that position when they bounce the ball.
Yes, well, they're the types of players that Port Melbourne must ask and even demand a lift. I think I must be critical of the placing of Chadban in the ruck. I think Milroy was absolutely superb with the tap-outs in that quarter. I know Chadban had a few possessions, but I think the game is won and lost in the centre, and Milroy's dominating the hit-out department.
Well, Phil, who do you feel can go on with the game now? Do you think Coburg will win?
Well, they should, but as Rex says, you can't underestimate Port Melbourne, and going on other comments from Ray, whoever gets this first break, I reckon in the first 5 minutes of this quarter.
Yeah, great last quarter.
Yes, I reckon it will be, and you can't underestimate Port. Port have the advantage of a breeze. It's not much more than that. It's a very slight breeze going down the ground, whether you can call it an advantage or not. But let's have a look at the stats here now at three-quarter time, Ian.
What they do actually show is that Port Melbourne really have dominated the game. They've had a total of 28 scoring shots to Coburg 25, and virtually in every department they've had more use of the ball. They just haven't used it effectively. Port Melbourne 218 possessions, Coburg 191. kicks, Port Melbourne 155, Coburg 137. Port is still stronger in the air with 50 marks, Coburg 47. Free kicks still even, 38 to 37. And handball, Port Melbourne using handball, I won't say more effectively, but using it more often than Coburg, 63 to 54.
Well, when you look at the scoreboard, you see Port Melbourne at 12-16, 88 to Coburg 17-7. So, you know, as you say, they've certainly had the play. And as Rex says, if they can get the breaks, they'll probably be able to come back strongly here in the final term. Anyway, Chad Band is still up there in the ruck, Rex, so he'll be going in against Milroy. Signal to the timekeepers, final corner. Who goes into the grand final, we'll know in 30 minutes. Umpire Frank Pagona. And there goes Milroy again, dominating in the ruck. Gets it out into the middle of the pack. There's a free kick in here. It was a Port Melbourne player, Wilkinson, who was tagged, and he's immediately off now. Down towards the forward zone goes the kick. Fred Cook trying to shoulder his opponent there, and Cookie takes 2 bites. The umpire says it was touched, and immediately we see them off. Sheldon breaks away, and Sheldon from the half-back line will play it around the wing on the outer side. Goes to Freeman, who's being grabbed. Freeman pulled down to the ground. The umpire blows the whistle and says he dropped the ball, and the free kick will be taken out here by Bradbury. Is it Bradbury? Thompson. So the kick goes towards the centre half forward zone. Hall went up through one hand at the ball, and again a free kick, and Anderson gets it down here just wide of centre half forward. If they can get a goal, Port Melbourne, they'll certainly lift.
This is the guy that I think has got to lead the revival, because he has been held in the last 2 quarters, Phil.
Well, he's the type of player to do it if he can get away, but he's been pretty well tagged. There's his kick on the way, and it might be just a fraction offline to go through for the behind. So Port Melbourne now increase their tally of behinds. They go to 12-17, 89, with Coburg 17-7, 109. When you look at it, it's 4 kicks the difference, punched away here by Chad Band for a throw-in deep in the left forward pocket now for Port Melbourne. Well, a murmur around the crowd. Again, Milroy gets it out of the ruck towards Dalglish. It goes over the line and out. Pursuing the ball there was Harbinson. Throw-in to be effective in front of the Morton stand down here. Chad Band and Milroy in the ruck. And it comes down to Kavanagh. Kavanagh shoots it towards Cook. Up they go for it. There's little Abaya scouting around. Over the top they go, and the umpire says it will be a ball out. Well, Porter trying desperately, but again, they can't get it through the big posts. Bit of shouldering going on, and punched by Eade towards the goals, tapped across the boundary line, and the throw in again. Bit of negative play and a lot of frustration, I'd say, on the part of Port Melbourne players down there on the forward line. Looks like Cook going up in the ruck against Milroy. Up he goes, doesn't do any good. It comes out here towards Burt, who puts it straight to the boundary line, and the throw in a little further around on the half-back line. So Port Melbourne, as the minutes tick by, will be feeling the pressure more and more. Goes over the heads of the ruckman on the throw-in. They misjudged that throw. It comes out of the pack towards Swan, who couldn't get away. Hand passed out to Fitzgerald. Didn't quite know where to go. He puts it high in the air. Up they go for it, and the mark here by Harbinson. So Harbinson wide of the centre. About to put Coburg into attack towards the half-forward line. They come up to meet the ball, punched away here by the big fella Dwyer, and Harbinson again has the run on the ball. Wilkinson gamely grabs it out of the air, and the red-headed fellow puts it straight down towards the forward zone. Cook trying to double back, can't do so. But what's the umpire saying? He was held, and justice has been done. Rex Hunt.
Yes, well, I suppose that was what the Port Melbourne supporters are saying. Let's have a look. He's going, yes, how can Cook mark it one hand? I think that was the comment that Rob Asprey made in last year's preliminary final when some guy was doing the same thing to a big bloke that used to play full forward with Sandrin here.
Reminiscences there from Rex Hunt. All right, there it goes on its way, and Cook's put it through for Ports. 13.
In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can at Statewide. you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
Right on the bounce here, and neither ruckman get the advantage here. Taken by Sheldon. Sheldon couldn't break away. There's Fitzgerald throwing himself into it. Big Chad Band lopes him out of the way and then passes here to Kavanagh. Port into attack again, up towards the half-forward line. It eludes Pennington down there. There's Gary Bryce coming into it. Can't control the ball. Ends up over the line. Coburg 17-7, 109. Port Melbourne 13-17, 95. The tension really on here at the Junction Oval. And they've played 5 minutes into the final quarter. Milroy and Fred Cook in the ruck. It goes over their heads. Here's the chance now. A snapshot for goal by Kavanagh. And he's put it through for another one to the Burrows. They go on now to 14-17. Coburg 17-7. Well, let's look at this again as it comes into the hands of Kavanagh. Look at that for a left foot kick. Straight through the middle. And it makes it a total of 8 points the difference. Port Melbourne coming back, Ray Shaw.
For this last 6 minutes into the last quarter, Port Melbourne have done all the attacking. The ball hasn't got over Coburg's half-forward line, and Port are in here for a big show.
Right, and on the bounce, Rex Hunt.
We certainly have a game in our hands as Milroy gets it down. Here comes Cleary. They need a lift. Robinson was tackled, but Vagona called play on. Dermott is told to play on by best man on the ground in Wilkinson, and Dermott goes towards the half-forward line out of sight of the ground, and here comes Pitt. Pitt relieves the pressure for Coburg, looking for Harbinson, and he just sneaks it in front of the boundary line on the true wing position. Coburg need a steadier because Port Melbourne, as Ray Shaw said, are on fire. Mick Thompson takes a great mark in front of Laurie Burke. Oh, he's a good defender, this guy. And socks down and all, untidy Mick, but he's really playing well, and he sees Robinson on his own, and Vagona says play on if you can, and he's kicked a mammoth torpedo punt. Gary Bryce flies up, and the ball came down to Rodder. Rodder got it across to Abaya with great play by Rodder. That great hand pass, but it's gone too far for them, and relieving the pressure for Coburg will be Sheldon. Sheldon dribbles it on, and Abaya's right on his hammer. He's given away a free kick. And Abaya grabbed Sheldon when he wasn't in possession, according to Ray Groom. And Sheldon, the left-footed half-back flanker for the Lions side, has a chance to relieve the pressure. He goes very close towards the centre wing position, looking for Cleary. Hall's got his hand bandage there, but it doesn't stop this player in Freeman getting away. He was tackled. Here comes Harbinson. Plenty of pressure down there. And over the boundary line, not on the full, according to the boundary umpire. And it looks like there's going to be a throw-in. Evans is warming up, and he's going to come on. He seems to be ready to come on, and Gary Bryce limps off, obviously going to direct operations from the bench. Chad Band is out, stretched once again by Milroy, and Halsell takes the free kick, and he's interfered with down there by, it looked like, Davies. Yes, Davies, the infringing player, sees the ball come back to Milroy and then transferred back to Halsell. Coburg certainly looking for a steadier. 8 points in front of Port Melbourne, coming up to 8 minutes into this final term, and Dermott taps it away, and he's backing up brilliantly. Here's the break. Wilkinson is told to run on by, it looks like Evans over there. Evans is, he's come undone. He's tackled over there by Laidler, but great hand pass by Wilkinson. Mick Thompson is the steadier, and Cook is the target, but Eade's putting great pressure on Cook over there, and Cook falls over, and Eade can relieve the pressure for the Coburg side. He can see Halsell on his own over there, and Halsell can relieve the pressure by hand passing to Laurie Burke.
And he does just that as Burt wide of the centre towards centre half forward. Up they go. No one able to take the mark, and coming in here is Davies. And the umpire, Vagona, says it will be a ball up at centre half forward for Coburg.
Anybody's game. 8 points is the margin at the moment. Port Melbourne 14-7 and Coburg 17-7. We've now played 8.5 minutes into the final term of play. Who will go into the grand final? Wilkinson kicking to the outer side of the ground. In the second division grand final, you just saw the scores there. The margin is just 1 point. So we have two great games on today in VFA football. Cleary kicking the ball back towards full forward. Dwyer is there in the front. Doyle knocks the ball down, playing the part of the backman now. It's Davies. What will he do? Nothing. Oh, play on, says the umpire. Lucky to get away with that. Dermott, a long hand pass there. And it's Kavanagh across to Wilkinson. Wilkinson has a bit of a run. Players getting very tired now on the outside of the ground. And going forward is Port Melbourne. They need goals.
The margin is 8 points. 9.5 minutes into the last quarter. And we'll have all the scores for you, all the results, and the best action highlights from this game tonight on Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock with Tony Banks. There's the throw-in. No one getting the advantage there. It's Evans in the front. Swan, I should say. That's Cleary now taking the ball. Handballs across to his teammate Fitzgerald. He loses the ball. It's Rodder who sharks in. Kavanagh and back to Rodder. Rodder a short pass to Obey all by himself. Can he hold it? No, he fumbled it. Handball now. Back to Rodder. Oh, this is pressure football now. Have a look at this. Thought he was. Good decision, umpire. Gary Bryce urging his players on. Chadban. Oh, almost a beautiful mark there. And I think the umpire may have paid it to Anderson. Well, that was great play there. Rodder kicking the ball down. Let's have again. Oh, beautiful one-handed mark. And I think that'd have to be a contender for the mark of the day, Phil, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure, Rob.
He's kicked 2 goals so far as Anderson. Returned from Collingwood in 1981, one of the most elusive players in the VFA. He's played 105 games with Port Melbourne and kicked 315 goals.
And more experience at Airlines. Anything else?
So now it's Anderson lining up. He's only about 25 metres out from goal. From this angle, it's right through the middle, and we have a terrific game in our hands.
Hi, I'm Fletch, and if you're into photography, you've got to come into Fletcher's. We have a full range of photographic gear to choose from, and you can save on our great quality prints. They're only 18 cents each, so why pay more? And how about this great discount coupon book? It's free with every camera you purchase from Fletcher's. For the right advice at the right price, you can betcha Fletcher's got it.
Have a listen to that crowd roar. What a great game. Only 2 points separates these sides, and they're fighting for a place in the 1982 VFA Grand Final. Down into attack now, but it's defending there is Sheldon for Coburg. He'll handball to his teammate going by in Eade. Dalglish, but it's Chadban who skips in front there. Oh, terrible kick, but it's going in the right direction. Abaya across to Evans. Evans will line up the goals. I think it's offline and through for one behind. Ian Gibbs.
Port Melbourne steaming home. They've kicked a total of 3 goals to this quarter. Coburg are yet to score. Main goal kickers for Port, Wilkinson, Anderson and Abaya.
You couldn't get it much closer. Just 1 point the margin. 12.5 minutes into the final term of play. Eade now having a think about where to put the play. Fred Cook. There's the kick now, going to the outer side of the ground. Over the pack of players. Knocked on. Chance now for Fitzgerald to get the ball into the centre of the ground. Not a good kick. Oh, Robertson now. He's going to put Port Melbourne back into attack by handballing over to Tansis. Oh, he's in a lot of trouble too. There's no beg your pardons in this game. Desperate football now as Davies picks it up. He's tired. Kicks it back. Screws it back towards the half-forward flank position. But it's Douglas marking there for Coburg. Yes, they certainly do look tired, and that's Anderson calling for the ball, and the umpire will pay it. Kansas not too happy about that. Feeling his head is Anderson. Milroy is playing in the forward pocket. Setting themselves, up they go, no one can get the... but the umpire saw the free kick, and he was being held too, Robertson. Harbinson said, I don't disagree, but there's no arguing on this occasion. Robertson now. A punt kick in towards centre half forward. Anderson in front. All it behind. He'll handball to his teammate out there is Kavanagh. Kavanagh back towards goals. It's offline and it's level pegging here at the Junction Oval. Moving up to 13.5, well, 15 minutes according to our clock there. Coburg 17-7. Port Melbourne 15-19. What a terrific game we have.
Yes, Rob, and checking the stopwatch here, it's 13.5 minutes in to the final quarter. Scores a dead set level at the moment. There's the kickoff. Comes out towards the half-back line, and Anderson takes 2 bites at the ball to pull in a magnificent mark. Well, Ray Shaw, we said he was the player who had to lift, and he's doing just that.
He's playing a terrific game, and also give a bit of credit to young Chadban in the ruck. I don't know why Gary Milroy's down in the forward pocket, but he's the most experienced ruckman, and he should be in the ball.
I know, and here's Anderson now coming in to try and put the Boroughs ahead. He's right at centre half forward. It's on its way. It's offline, but they've gone ahead. It's one behind. Port Melbourne, 15-20. 110, leading Coburg, 17-7, a total of 109. Just waiting on the kick-off to be effected from the far end of the ground. Adams is the player on for Coburg. It comes out towards Evans. Evans nearly ran over the boundary line. Passes back to Kavanagh. Kavanagh going in towards goal. Gets it across towards Cook. Up goes Cook and he's taken the mark. A great mark by Fred Cook, just wide of the goal square. Well, here's the replay of it. Cook falling into the ball. Look at this. Of course, he was brought down on the shoulders as well. So it was either a mark or a free kick, but he's got the mark. He's kicked 2 goals, 3. And Rex Hunt, you said that 2 players needed to lift. That was Anderson and Cook. You can't keep a good forward down.
No, you certainly can't. And I really question the decision to play Adams, because Adams has been off all day. And as I said, Cook was going to lift sooner or later.
And there's the kick on its way. And what's he done? It's a goal. And Port Melbourne go to 16-20. Coburg 17-7. Well, here's that mark again from another angle. Cook being dragged to the ground, but he certainly put the score on the board. And the Port Melbourne supporters going wild at the moment. With Port Melbourne now leading by 7 points. Coburg looking tired, picked by Ray Shaw at the start of this quarter, at the 3/4 time break really, and they've taken Milroy off the ball, and players are looking slower. There's a kick now from Port Melbourne, up towards the half-forward line. Pennington battling away. He kicks it across field, but there's Rodder, tripped himself as he went in towards the boundary line. Dalglish gets possession, passes back to Herbert. Herbert taps it down, but over the line and out of bounds. Rex Hunt.
Well, as I said earlier on, we couldn't write off this Port Melbourne side, and why is Gary Milroy off the ball? We don't know. As Hall got it down, and where are the runners? Rodder's the man that taps it on for Kavanagh. Kavanagh picks it up and kicks it goal, and why is Milroy off the ball? And I tell you what, Port Melbourne are not complaining, because
there are those little moments in every single day when a burst of PK freshness will help you on your way. Taste the PK freshness, feel the pleasure right away. Get a burst of PK freshness to help you on your way. Share the PK pleasure, taste the freshness right away. Get a burst of PK freshness and have a happy day.
right back here now, Port Melbourne 17-21-22 to Coburg 17-7-109, and it's a great atmosphere here at the moment, Ray, and I tell you what, you wouldn't be too disappointed at them really bashing each other around.
Oh, I think it's a great game for any spectator to watch, and you know, Coburg have just got to make up their mind they've got to get the ball.
Adams put the ball down towards Milroy, but the pace is on from Doyle, and they're playing very, very tight football at the moment. The ball went out towards G.L. Anderson and also Wilkinson, without a doubt the best player on the ground in my opinion, and the ball is over the boundary line and out of bounds. Coming up to 17 minutes into the final quarter, and Port Melbourne have bolted. 5 goals, 4 to no score in this quarter, and they're really on the warpath. The ball came down towards Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald around on the left foot. He'll be looking in there for Milroy, but there's no one there for Port Melbourne, as the ball comes down to Sheldon. Sheldon on his wrong foot, sees Harbison on his own, and now Harbison's got a chance to put Coburg 6 points closer to the Port Melbourne score. Oh, this has been a barnstorming first part of this last quarter. And the second division grand final, we see there Caulfield are 6 points in front of the Northcote side as the ball goes in. Milroy's marked it. Milroy's marked it over the top of Doyle. Yes, coming up there, you'll see Milroy take the mark, the big sticky hand sticking up there, and yes, a clear mark.
That's why they had him down there, Rex.
Yes, as I said before, it would be one of the great moves of this season by Harold Martin to have him down there in the forward pocket, because at least they've got someone to kick to. Gary Milroy, the veteran of over 100 games for the Coburg side, has a very, very big task now of putting this one through. He lets it go and he's kicked a goal. No doubt about that one.
Suspension controls its performance, handling, and comfort. It's the same with shaving. That's why the Gillette Contour suspension system hugs every curve, smooths every stroke. Gillette Contour pivoting head adjusts to the perfect angle. It shaves fast, cleans easily. Change up to Gillette Contour. High performance shaving.
We really have a ball game here coming up to 20 minutes of the last quarter in Port. 17-20, 122 to Coburg, 18-7, 115. Here comes Evans, it looks like, and he sees Chadband over there and he knocks it on in the direction of Wilkinson, but here comes Pitt. Pitt's played well and he drives it towards centre-half forward, but no one's home and Davies is in the box seat. Doyle came over the top, Robinson's in there to lend a hand, but coming through was Lager, it looked like. In fact, it was Helsel. Helsel's grabbed a little bit too low, and umpire Vagana said take the free kick. The left-footed half-forward flanker plays on very quickly over there, looking for Herbert, and Herbert comes out and takes the mark. It's G.L. Anderson. G.L. Anderson, the former Collingwood reserves player, kicks it poorly in towards Harbinson, and Dermott can go in, and he's going to take the ball over the boundary line and out of bounds. So coming up to 20 minutes into the last quarter, 17-20, 122 Port Melbourne to Coburg, 18-7, 115, and Rob Asprey. Yes, and the margin is only 7 points. Can they score from here? Coburg need a goal desperately as time ticks by. They're playing for a place in the VFA Grand Final. The umpire has found a kick, and I think it's going to go to Burt, round the neck. Burt having a look there, but thinks better of it. The captain of Coburg, a short pass, messed it up badly there, kicking and looking for Helsel, but now they have the chance again. Milroy across to Sheldon. Well, Lady Luck blessing Coburg to get out of that situation. 17-20, 122, Coburg 18-7, 115. 7 points the difference at the moment. Waiting on this kick from Sheldon. Certainly got the height, but the accuracy is terrible. Well, that was one that they wanted badly. At the 21.5-minute mark of the last quarter. Play directed the outer side of the ground, up very high. They set themselves, knocked over the line, and out of bounds. Coburg kicking to the right-hand side of your screen. 21.5 minutes, that's the official time. There's the throw-in. Big men setting themselves. Knocked over the back. Chance for Burt. Gets the ball in towards the left-forward pocket position, rolling to the boundary line and out of bounds. It's only about 8 metres around from the behind post. A good snapshot from here through the centre, and that'd be only 1 point the difference in this big game. Oh, round the neck. Well, you saw that one clearly. Frank Vagana, the umpire, right on the spot. And that's Helsel coming out with the ball. A left foot forward who had to take over the role of first rover when Gary Helbert was injured. He's described by his club as a very accurate kick. Played in the 1979 Premiership side. He's 24 years of age. Has played 57 games and going for goal 123 with his club. There's the kick by Helsel. The umpire comes across. It's going to be close. It's only one behind. That makes the difference in this match. Just one straight kick. 6 points. So Davies now playing the role of the man to put the ball back into play. Will kick to the outer side of the ground. Gets a lead out there from Chad Ban, but waiting behind is Rodder. He's brought to the ground. Now it's Chad Ban who gets it though. Can't do anything with it. Coburg through Burt Orr. Quick hand pass there. Helsel's there. Can he do anything? Anderson is brought to the ground. You were caught with the ball. And Helsel again will drive Coburg, the Lions, into attack. They desperately need a goal. Kicking against the breeze. Sets the ball up. Milroy is there. Can't hold on to it long enough. Now he's got it. Screws it back. Thumped down to the ground. Moving it is Harbinson. He comes to the ground. Pushed as the umpire against Harbinson. And Davies will take the free kick. Cougars.
Right, Robin, we're 23.5 minutes into the final quarter. Here's Davies now from that last line of defence. Will play the ball around the stand side. Chad Ban coming in under it there. Gets a hand to it, but couldn't control it at all. The ball up or round the neck, the umpire says. And the free kick Coburg's way. Who's under the pack here? It looks like Fitzgerald it is. And Fitzgerald now with Coburg doing all the attacking in the last 10 minutes. Up they go. Milroy tried to come in from behind. Couldn't do so. And the ball has been marked here for Port Melbourne by Tansis. Tansis looks for the lead. Gets one wide of the centre. Up they go for it, and the mark by Doyle. Well, Doyle and Port Melbourne steadying. And from wide of the centre, plays it up towards that centre half-forward zone. Minutes ticking away now as it comes into the hands of Rodder. Rodder shoots for goal. It's on its way, and it's right through the middle.
Mitre 10, Mitre 10.
We're Australia's biggest hardware fan.
When you decide to do it yourself around the house, you can be sure Mitre 10 will have everything you need, like doorknobs, taps, screen doors, insulation. Your Mitre 10 man is a do-it-yourself specialist, so before you start any job, ask his advice. He'll show you how to do the job properly. You'll save time and money.
Where do you go for hardware?
Well, Port now packing the back line as they get it away from the centre once again. They've kicked 6-4 to 1-1 in this final term. Umpire blowing the whistle. Will be a ball up. How many kicks has Swan had today, Ian?
He's had 16 kicks, but he hasn't touched the ball in this final quarter.
And he had, Ray Shaw's just saying he had 14 up to half-time, so he hasn't been in the play. Well, that's been pretty noticeable since half-time. Comes out here towards the little fellow, Abaya. Abaya with his kick up towards the half-forward line. Evans tried to take a one-hander there. Down to the ground goes Rodder. By gee, he's played well, Rex.
Yes, been a great player. Put himself in too, Phil.
Comes out now towards Dalglish. Dalglish wide of the centre. Up they go for it. And Davies is the player. The umpire's paid the free. Clearly indicating it. And Davies now with the umpire bringing Cleary back on the mark, off the mark, 15-metre penalty. And getting ready to come on the ground is Bradbury of Port Melbourne, Anderson of Coburg. There's the kick from Davies. What a roost. Right down towards the centre forward zone. They rise for it. Players go in, stacks on the mill here. Pushed out of the pack, comes out towards Pennington. Pennington with a hand pass in the direction of Sheldon. Sheldon now moving downfield, gives it a little dribble on, and now will left-footed up towards the half-forward line, looking for Laidler, but Laidler's not there. Coming in is Tansis, and Tansis around the boundary line on the outer side of the ground. It'll be, no, I was about to call a Port Melbourne mark. The umpire's called play on, and it's a push in the back, Coburg's way. And who is it out here? Sheldon. Sheldon to take it across towards centre, and taking the mark is Dermott. Dermott just wide of the centre of the ground. Port Melbourne 128, leading Coburg 116. Been a great game, Rex Hunt.
Yes, it certainly has, as the hand pass goes towards Davies, and they've really bowled at Port Melbourne. The ball came out nicely by Wilkinson. Wilkinson has a snap for goal, but it's offline, 1 point. All clear, says umpire Bergona. So 18-21, 129, Port Melbourne lead Coburg 18-8, 116.
Well, after seeing this game today, Ray Shaw, and the way it's been played, how confident do you feel about next week?
Oh, I think it's going to be a great game next week, because Port Melbourne, as Rex said, they never give up, and it's been a credit to Gary Bryce and his boys for coming back.
Great play by Freeman, sees the ball on the centre wing, but Swan defending grandly, kicks the ball into the open spaces. Dalglish can wait for it, and he's tackled grandly by Evans. And the ball comes down to Douglas, who must be penalised. Great tackle by Doyle. And that's the sort of football they want the lad to play. They don't want him fighting as he runs around and kicks it in towards Fred Cook. And he's kicked it pretty well, but Fred Cook's in there, but it's offline. 22 points to the Port Melbourne side. 18-22, 130 Port Melbourne to Coburg, 18-8, 116. And we've gone, it looks like around about 28 minutes as Eade comes away, and he's kicked it out of bounds on the full. And I would say quite categorically that Coburg are gone now. I don't think they can get back. Port Melbourne full of running.
Well, they've only got about 3 minutes of play left on our estimate. And there's the final score at the second division grand final. And we find that Northcote have just got up in what must have been a magnificent game over there. Got up by 5 points, 87 to 82. And there's the kick for goal from Evans. And Evans has put the sealer right on it here for Port Melbourne. And you can say now that Port Melbourne will meet Preston. And what a bumper crowd we will expect here for the grand final next Sunday. Ray Shaw is up here commentating with us, the captain and coach of Preston. And I suppose, Ray, that Port Melbourne will be suffering a bit after this hard game today.
Oh, naturally, it takes a lot out of any side with the evenness of today's game. But, you know, Port Melbourne, traditionally a great final side, and they've really proved it today.
Right, and here we go. It's Milroy, who's now up in the ruck a bit too late in this quarter. It comes out towards Anderson. Anderson now getting ready to move away.
Yes, and Port Melbourne really assured now as John Fitzgerald comes out of the centre. And he's played pretty well, but so's this man, Dermott. What a great player he is. A late-minute withdrawal against Geelong West because of a hip injury, but Greg's done particularly well today with his 17th kick coming up. Took the mark in front of Harbinson there, right on the VFA emblem. And he's going to steady it down and kick it poorly in towards the centre half-forward position. But here's Laurie Burt. And he's still looking a little bit overweight for mine and a little bit tired as Sheldon takes up the running on the centre wing position. Tansis is a little bit late there. But the ball going out into the direction of Herbert. But the ball's going over the boundary line and out of bounds. Coming up to 30 minutes into this last quarter. 19-22, 136 Port Melbourne to Coburg, 18-8, 116. Milroy versus it's Hall there. Milroy got it down, and here comes the player in Herbert, but he was tackled. In fact, it was Hulsell. And umpire Vergana said that the free kick to Port Melbourne there, and it's going to go to, it looks like, Tansis. Angie Tansis is going to go into the centre of the ground, and he's going to be looking down there for Doyle, but in fact tipping in and punching the ball away is Harbinson.
Right, and pursuing the ball now is Port Melbourne through Swan. Swan gets a short kick in the direction of Doyle. Doyle now streaks away from the half-forward line, kicks it up towards the centre-forward zone. The bounce-beating players down here. It beat Evans, and moving in now is this player, Anderson. Anderson up here in the direction of Adams. Adams with a further hand pass, but immediately we see it come wide of the centre with Halsell looking a bit tired, slipping over. It's passed out in the direction of Thompson. He can't break away with the ball. The umpire and there it is, into the grand final for 1982 against Preston will be the Boroughs, Port Melbourne. The final score in this match, Port Melbourne 1922, 136. Defeated Coburg 18-8, a total of 116.
In today's stormy investment climate, wouldn't it be nice to get a really competitive rate from only $100 deposit, unaffected by market fluctuations? Well, you can. At Statewide, you earn from 15.5% per annum to 16.5% per annum, fully protected from change for 3 or 6 months, whichever you prefer. Ask at any Statewide branch. Statewide, Victoria's biggest building society, by far.
There are those little moments in every single day when a burst of PK freshness will help you on your way. Taste the PK freshness, feel the pleasure right away. Get a burst of PK freshness to help you on your way. Share the PK pleasure, taste the freshness right away. Get a burst of PK freshness and have a happy day.
Tuesday on Power Without Glory, not even the birth of his first grandchild will allow John West to go back on his word. He promised to leave his daughter penniless, and to his dying day, he'll do just that. An unbearable shock to the private life of politician Frank Ashton on Power Without Glory, 7:30 Tuesday on 10.
Port Melbourne are in the grand final. Port Melbourne 1922 defeated Coburg 18-8, and now down to the dressing room of Port Melbourne, Rob Asprey.
Well, the atmosphere in the rooms at Port Melbourne, Phil, as you can hear, and as I can hardly hear myself speak, that is absolutely jubilant. Maybe if we can just get our camera around to have a look over here, if we could, Robin. Absolutely jubilant. Gary, we're on air at the moment, Gary. We just have a very quick word to you. Let's just move over here because our cameraman's having great trouble with the light. But we wanted to capture that a very thrilling moment for Port Melbourne, because at three-quarter time, the prospects weren't too good.
Well, that's right. I think we had to overcome a lot of obstacles. We had a lot of players who weren't 100% fit, but it just showed that the true fighting spirit of Port Melbourne, it's there, and Preston are going to cop the wrath of it next week. And I think that we had not just injury problems to overcome. There are a few things out there I wasn't happy with either, but then again...
What were they?
Well, I think you saw it. I don't mind having to play 16 players, but when you've got to play a couple of extras most of the day, it makes it a bit hard.
Right, well, we're having a look at the highlights now, Gary, so let's just move back over here if we could. Gary, I'd like to ask you about Preston, because your record, it's going to be hard to beat them, isn't it? Really tough.
Of course it is, but in a two-horse race, it's even money at this stage. Obviously, they have to start favourites, but I wouldn't like it any other way. They've beaten us convincingly twice during the year, but then again, you know, I don't think that... I doubt whether they would have been able to get up in the situation today, but next week will tell.
That'll do a lot for your confidence, won't it?
Of course it will.
Win?
We've started to play well, and I hadn't thrown the sponge in at three-quarter time, and obviously the players hadn't. And I thought it was a magnificent comeback. I don't think after the first 5 minutes there was no doubt we're going to win the game. We've done it to Coburg in the past. I'm sure it's in their mind that if we get within them, they're going to run over us again, and that's what happened.
What have you got to do to beat Preston?
We've just got to have 100% commitment from every player in the side, and if we do that, I'm sure we can do it.
Right. Freddie Cook down again in the earlier part of the game against Eade.
Well, I thought he played pretty well in the first quarter. He was in front,
inaccurate.
took some marks and didn't kick goals, but later in the game he played behind too much, but that's something that Fred has to sort out.
Well, Gary, this is your third grand final, and that in itself is a tremendous achievement, especially considering the number of players that you lost this year. How are you going to approach the week, training-wise, etc.?
Well, obviously, we won't be training very hard. It will just be a normal routine for us.
If they're not fit now, they'll never be fit.
Well, that's right. I think we finished on well today. I don't think there's any doubt about our fitness. Our ability to run on late in the game was proven today, but... we've had two hard finals matches, and I think that'll stand us in very good stead.
Gary Bryce, thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you and speaking to you next week in the VFA Grand Final. Again, congratulations.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you.
Well, there it is. That's Gary Bryce. We've got Freddie Cook here, so Freddie, come on in just for a quick chat. We can just make a bit of room here for Fred Cook. Fred, bit inaccurate in the first quarter today, the first half. I think you had 1-3 till quarter time.
Yeah, I suppose it comes back to the pressure of the final situation. It's pretty easy to go out against ordinary sides during the year and kick a bad for when everybody's on top, but people that don't play the game don't realise how much pressure is out there to actually win and do the correct things all the time. But full credit must go to Eade, the fullback that played on me. He's a very tough opponent. He stuck close. He was very defensive all day, and I was just, I suppose, a bit lucky to get away in the last quarter and kick a couple of goals on him. But I don't know what Bryce has said to the Channel 10 viewers, but we only had about 2 or 3 good players for 3 quarters, and I think I could just had that gut feeling in the last quarter when it started. The rest of the team just wanted to mould us one and play. They remember back to the 1980 Grand Final when we were in a similar situation, and we came back, and you know, they all deserve a pat on the back. And next week's a different proposition.
That's a fine compliment to Eade. What happened in that first quarter there? What happened in the first quarter, Fred, when you had that little altercation?
Well, Tony Abay is probably the smallest player in the field. He went down, and I usually only get upset about once a year, and I think that was it.
Did you get upset?
I was a little bit upset, and I don't believe that a bloke that 3 or 4 stone ringing wet with gumboots on should be knocked about like that, and I just...
Right, OK, Fred. And there it is. We'll take this break and then hear from Rex Hunt and Ray Shaw.
Hi, Ralph. It's us again, who have just dropped in to see what kind of shattering things you're up to this week. Hey, Ralph, that's very good, and right on cue, too. And you know what they say, Ralph? If the hat fits, wear it.